most famous ball yard in the world, Yankee Stadium, may see yet another milestone. Number 200 from the Rocket Man. I'm not the man I think I am at all. I'm the Rocket Man. Rocket Roger Clemens was the Red Sox for 13 years, and in 1986 there was Blast-Off, a major league record for K's late April at Fenway against the Mariners, 20 in one game. The 24-4 flight carried all the way to the World Series. It was a Cy Young season to be followed by 2 more. 10 years later, it's still his job 5 days a week. September in Detroit, 20 strikeouts again, and a souvenir handful. But alas, in Boston, he was burning out his fuse up here alone. And a blast off to Toronto, where the Rocket has regained his red glare. Different teams, same division, same heater, a 7-0 start. Tonight, such a timeless flight could reach the 200-win zone. A brisk evening in the Bronx, a perfect setting for a little heat. We've got it for you tonight as the defending champion New York Yankees take on the Toronto Blue Jays and try and solve the mystery that's been Roger Clemens, the Rocket Man. Hi once again, everybody. I'm Chris Berman along with Dave Campbell. So glad you could be with us on Wednesday Night Baseball. Well, with apologies to Elton John, and we'll have a lot of those all night long. I think he's good for a long, long, long time. 7-0 is as if nothing has changed for Roger Clemens, except, of course, the uniform. He still has the heater and maybe even more pitches than he had in his salad days in Boston.
I think he really does. He's come up with a great split finger pitch over the last few years. He can throw it in or out. He can control that pitch. He has just been unbelievable, and the fire still burns in his belly. He says he doesn't think he'll be around for a chance to win 300. So I think because he doesn't think his career is going to go that long, we know he's going to be in the Hall of Fame, but he just wants to ensure it.
Well, he's steamrolling toward 3,000 strikeouts, and he hopes to go up his mark to 8-0 and get big win number 200. Now, he goes against one of the best hitting teams in all of baseball, and certainly Roger Clemens, 13 years of Red Sox against the New York Yankees at Yankee Stadium, a game he would like to have. 4 Yankees are hitting 300, the hottest of which is Tino Martinez with 51 RBIs.
Well, he goes against the club leading the American League in on-base percentage, runs scored, and batting. But Pat Henkin showed last night you can shut that offense down. But Tino Martinez has obviously been the guy that's fueled this great Yankee beginning. 17 home runs, 51 RBIs. He's relaxed this year. Replacing Don Mattingly is no longer an issue. They'll have a great day here for Mattingly celebrating his career, but Tino has established himself as the Yankee first baseman.
But it's a night that could belong to Roger Clemens, as so many nights have belonged to him in the past. The Gambler and the Rocket Man, Kenny Rogers against Roger Clemens, warming up here in the Bronx. All right, Linda Cohn, thank you very much. Good to see you working with us tonight on our Wednesday Night Baseball Double Dip. As we welcome you to a chilly Yankee Stadium. The sun was out for a while this afternoon, but it'll be a little brisk, but a perfect night for Roger Clemens to perhaps chase down yet another milestone. But he's going to need some runs out of this lineup. They got Pat Henkin 2 yesterday. That was enough for a win the first game of this 2-game series. Otis Nixon will lead off in center field, and you can see this Blue Jay team as our Nextel lineup unfurls. That the batting average is last in the American League and less than 4 runs a game, so they need to work. Orlando Merced is in right field. Joe Carter, Sergeant Carter at first base. Ed Ocean Sprague hurt his Achilles last night, only DHing tonight. Jacob Brumfield to start in left. Benito Il Duce Santiago behind the plate. The youngster Alex Gonzalez is down to 7 again in the order. Tilson Brito will play third base tonight. Carlos Garcia batting ninth and playing second base against the left-hander. Sometimes good, sometimes not so good for the Yankees. The Gambler, Kenny Rogers.
Been a little better lately. Got the respect of his teammates in his last start after a couple of Yankees bit the dust. He drilled Will Clark, and that seemed to spark the Yankees in that ball game. Kenny starts this year. The Yankees have gone 5-3. He's 7-2 lifetime, 2.55 versus the Jays, and he's part of a starting staff that had a string broken last night. The Yankees starters have gone 27 consecutive innings without giving a walk, so they've been making the other team swing the bat. Checking the defense behind Rogers tonight. Normal outfield of Raines, Williams, and O'Neill. Joe Girardi has missed 4 games back in there after a sore right shoulder from a head-first slide. And the Jays do like to run, so if they get on. But the one thing that may neutralize that, Kenny Rogers has a good pickoff move to first base.
So Girardi will catch tonight, and that's a good sign for the Yankees. He's had that shoulder problem all year long. He just aggravated again, but they have a day game tomorrow against Boston. So Girardi tonight, and then Posada will catch tomorrow afternoon. But you're right. Girardi is an unheralded portion of this World Championship team last year.
Well, he had some huge hits in the World Series, but he really steadied this staff last year. He's that type of guy. He's not spectacular, but he gets the job done.
Late arriving crowd here in the Bronx. Lots to think about here in the last week in the New York sports scene. Certainly with the Rangers. Big game with the Flyers last night. Although not for the way the New York fans would like it to turn out. The Knicks in the midst of everything with the Heat and not going the way the New York fans would like to turn out. And now they got to try and beat Roger Clemens. So maybe it's a tough week. Otis Nixon, he much traveled, but certainly grizzled veteran Otis Nixon still can move. Batting average not where he would like at .239. Swings at the first pitch and fouls it away.
Otis, much better hitter from the left side so far this year, only batting .192, batting right-handed, and that's where he hits against Kenny Rogers tonight.
Actually, many moons ago, he came up with the Yankees in 1983 before starting his travels around baseball. Had a handful of games with him before he really started in earnest. You think his first days in the majors were with the Indians. Not true. About 12, 13 games with the Yankees in '83 before he started Cleveland, Montreal, Atlanta, the Red Sox, Texas last year, and this year in Toronto. There's his travel log.
One thing the Yankees have done better in recent years is not let some of their top prospects get away. Jeter, Bernie Williams, Andy Pettitte, 3 prizes of the farm system, and they did not trade those guys away. They had a history of that prior to.
1-2 pitch, a fastball up top. It's 2-2. And certainly one thing Otis can do if he gets on, and only us to tell you, is that he can move. Over 500 stolen bases lifetime. He's 18th the all-time list. Swinging on the pitch to look inside. Jeter will charge it. Has to get rid of it. Does so. Nixon is gone. 1 out.
Young man who made 56 errors his first year in the minor leagues. He had a rapid rise to the majors, so he got rid of that problem early on and has become one of the better shortstops in the American League.
But that'll bring up one of 3 players that came over from the Pittsburgh Pirates in a much heralded trade. Is certainly the signing of Roger Clemens, the biggest move by the Blue Jays last offseason. But they got 3 guys with some proven track record with the Pittsburgh Pirates, like Orlando Merced, along with Carlos Garcia at second base. And he has certainly struggled. You'll see him wear the glasses tonight. Last night was the first night that he wore glasses and hit a rope his last time up, and the Jays are hoping that'll help him. And, of course, Dan Plesac coming over for 6 minor league players from the Pirates. All the National Leaguers, Merced's done all right as he swings through that one. But all the National Leaguers, including Benito Santiago, have been slow to warm to this American League stuff.
Yeah, Santiago and Garcia both hitting under 200, and Merced really hasn't been lighting it up by any stretch of the imagination. Orlando comes in batting .252, only 4 homers. And part of the reason the Jays, we saw that graphic at the top of the telecast, 3.8 runs per game. They're still in the hunt because of the great pitching. But they've got to get some offense generated. They've played a lot of one-run games. In fact, 13 of their last 26 games have been one-run, and they've been low-scoring games.
Cito Gaston, who you saw there, knows that, yes, his team's going to be better than it was the last 3 seasons when they were sub-500 club. But as good as Roger Clemens or Pat Henke or Guzman when he's right is, you just can't put that pressure on your pitchers night after night after night, especially with your bullpen in a bit of a question.
Well, the other thing, Guzman with that questionable shoulder and Eric Hansen missing time. You think back to that Dodger team back in the early 60s with the great pitching. And, I mean, a big win for them was 3-2. They couldn't score either.
Foul back, and the count is full to Merced with Joe Carter on deck.
But with those 4 and 5 starters, the 3 and 4 starters questionable right now. Woody Williams has done a good job in that 5-hole, but Guzman's shoulder is still iffy, and Eric Hansen is going to be out for about another 2 months at least.
Old Merced on that one, so striker number 1 for Kenny Rogers. 2 up, 2 down, and that'll bring up the Sarge. Joe Carter He too has been struggling. He's at first base. He can play some outfield. Of course, he's done it for years and years and years, but a little neck problem, back problem, and Carter almost every year drives in 100 runs, even though that number is now devalued a little bit. It's just 17 RBIs, so A, it's hard to drive him in when they're not on, and Joe is not quite having the year that he's been capable of.
Now, since 1986, leads the majors in homers and RBIs, 7 out of the last 8 years, 100. But slow start this year, and some grumblings up in Toronto that they ought to make him the full-time DH. He doesn't want to do that. He's playing first base tonight.
Carter, always quick with the smile, has been. Big reason why the Blue Jays won back-to-back world championships, 92 and 93, and there's a base hit. So Carter is on with 2 outs, and that'll bring up Ed Sprague, DH tonight. Aggravated that Achilles last night, had to leave the game midway through the game. Still in there swinging the bat, but not playing third base. Sprague, I think, is one of the more underrated players in the American League.
Oh, I totally agree. I mean, pretty good third baseman over in that league, and tough for him to get his due. Maybe with Robin Ventura out now with that injury, that Sprague may get some consideration for some all-star votes this year. But he's played in 128 straight. Normally, he would probably take the night off, but the Jays obviously need a right-handed bat against Kenny Rogers tonight.
36 home runs, 101 ribbies a year ago. In there for a strike, says home plate umpire Ken Kaiser. Joe Brinkman is working at first. Darrell Cousins at second. Tim Welke is at third base this evening at Yankee Stadium with the flags above the facade of the outfield whipping. Well, some right to left, some straight out, some left to right. Maybe it'll be an adventure out there.
Hot dog wrappers are blowing towards left center. We'll see if that's an indication.
Maybe that's just where they sell them for less price. I'm not sure.
Funny, in the circular stadiums, you never really know. Of course, this one's not totally enclosed from the standpoint. Center field doesn't have the stands up there, but sometimes the way the flags are blowing is actually the opposite way the ball's going to carry. We'll just have to wait until we see a couple of fly balls tonight to get a read.
0-2 the count to Sprague. Carter, pretty safe lead at first. Pitch inside. Sprague tried to check it. Jeter will go to first in time, and the Jays are gone in the first. We're heading to the bottom of the first here in New York, where Roger Clemens taking the hill for what he hopes will be a milestone evening. Stadium wearing the familiar 21 and the unfamiliar uniform of the Toronto Blue Jays. Roger Clemens, who has made 8 starts this year. He's 7-0. It's as if nothing has changed. And here's the Nextel Yankee lineup. Timmy Raines, boy, he's been a godsend in left field. Looks like he'll have that slot for a long time with Strawberry's knees acting up again. The career lineup, this career numbers in the starting lineup tonight for the Yankees against Clemens. Look at this, batting below 150, and they've K'd 50 times. Wade Boggs, longtime teammate in Boston of the Rocket Man, at second. Bernie Williams in center field. Tito Martinez, he had the 17 homers and 51 RBIs cleanup. Paul O'Neill in right field. Cecil Fielder, who has really scuffled lifetime. Derek Jeter at short. Mariano Duncan at second. Joe Girardi the catcher against the pride of Houston, Texas, Roger Clemens.
199 wins, we're aware of that. Only 111 losses. He has a great winning percentage. Obviously, off to a terrific start. His best since 1986. 1.96 the ERA. Only 55 runners in 59 innings so far for Clemens. 41 hits and 14 walks. He is the Rocket Man. He may, with this offense, though, have to really pitch well tonight to get a victory. Take a look at the defense playing behind Clemens. They have committed the fewest errors in the major leagues. One of the reasons, Alex Gonzalez, their young shortstop, no errors in the last 28 games. Only Ed Sprague has committed more than 3, and he's not in there tonight except as the DH. Tilson Brito will be at third base, and there's Gonzalez, who has played very steady at the shortstop position this year.
So we know a lot of viewers certainly down in Houston. Roger told me that a little party going on at his house with his wife Debbie. I know they're looking in with the 4 children, all, in case you don't know by now, all whose first names begin with a K. Kobe, Corey, Casey, and Cody.
What'd you
Geez,
tell me?
you think it just might be
Yeah.
a trend there?
What'd you tell me about the 10-year-old that's a catcher?
Well, Kobe, he said, you know, he's a catcher, plays some second base and third base. He said, he's ready to catch me now, Chris. I said, wow. I don't think so. He said, I think so.
Yeah.
So the Clemens family is enjoying this as much as we have enjoyed Roger pitch throughout the years. Certainly a lot of fans in Boston tuning in tonight and kind of wishing he was still pitching up at the fence. I think it's kind of ironic that tonight, while Clemens and the Jays leave town, the Red Sox, after a night game in Chicago, will come into New York. They'll kind of pass as ships in the night as the Red Sox open up a four-game set here tomorrow. I don't know. There's something symbolic about that, as Timmy Raines is patient, and however, doesn't matter because Clemens paints the corner and is quickly up ahead 4-2.
This is the first time the Yankees have played an Eastern Division team all year, and now they begin a stretch of 16 against Toronto, Boston, and Baltimore. Baltimore wins again today. They have not had a bad streak yet.
Misses inside. It's 1-2. Clemens, of course, still can throw the fastball in the mid-90s. Throws that splitter, which really he didn't have in 86. He started throwing really only about 88, 89. Rich Gedman was really responsible for a lot of that. He was so great at blocking the balls in the dirt when Roger was getting a handle on it. And fittingly, Clemens starts out the way he starts out so many games, with a strikeout.
Yeah, that was the splitter, dive bombing down and away from Timmy Raines. You're at his mercy when you get two strikes on you. He can make that ball go down and away or down and in. He's perfected that pitch that much. And when you have to gear up for 95 miles an hour and the splitter is so tough for a hitter to pick up the spin or lack of spin on that ball, when he gets two strikes on you, you've really got to go to potato digging.
So then I'll bring up Wade Boggs, a gentleman that spent a little bit of time at Fenway together, way not that far back. As Boggsy said, they kind of ran me out of town. Roger just kind of left town.
3 for 13 lifetime against his former teammate.
In there for a strike, just in case you were wondering. That strikeout for Clemens, number 2,648. So 3,000 strikeout, a mark that only 10 have reached lifetime in baseball. That's certainly within Rogers' range. And something that he will be keeping his eye on. Boggs kept his eye on that pitch. It's a fair ball. And it's about the shortest ground rule double in the history of baseball. Kind of scoots there because Brumfield had him played perfectly, and I don't know that he would have gotten second base had the carom come to him. It did not double for Boggs.
Have to take a look, see if the fan will reached over or the ball just jumped in. But Boggs now 4 for 14, 286 lifetime against Roger, and that patented inside-out stroke by Wade Boggs. That ball's in, and he just fists it out. Ball hits fair and hops into the stand, so that's a legitimate one. If a fan would have reached over, then it becomes the discretion of the umpire to place the runner where he thinks the runner would have been, but that one hopped into the stand, so no chance for the umpire to do anything but call it the ground rule double.
What do we think, Dave? About 220-foot ground rule double?
Yeah, somewhere around there. Didn't we have somebody bunt for a double opening day this year against the...
I don't know who that was.
Did you have that game down in Florida and the Cubs?
No, I was out in Seattle watching Griffey start with 2 homers. Then the next night saw Tino hit 3, and that's kind of been the storyline in the American League, at least individually for the first couple months of the season. Bernie Williams looks at ball 1. Bernie is flaming. 354, up to 5th in the American League. 7 home runs and 34 RBIs. Talk about unheralded all-stars. The guys that should be all-stars. Here he is. There's the pop on the glove we've become so familiar with, in there for a strike.
I'll tell you, Bernie has made himself into one of the great Yankees. There's only one thing when you talk to people that watch him on an everyday basis that he still doesn't do well. They say he still doesn't have the great base running instincts that guys like Mantle and Mays and people like that had.
He is fast, though. He's
Yep.
a track guy in his high school days. He's still learning the game, but he's gotten enough of it down, I think. A pitch down a little bit. Santiago blocks it. Count is 2-1. We talk about the milestones with Clemens right now. with that strikeout, 2,648. He is 15th on the strikeout list as Roger. 14 is a guy by the name of Frank Tanana Daiquiri, 2,770. We'll put some of these numbers up as the night goes on because this is a good little slice where Clemens is right now on the strikeout list.
One thing I'll have to take a look at in between innings in the press guide, but Ferguson Jenkins is the only guy in baseball history to have 3,000 strikeouts and walk less than 1,000. But I would think with Clemens' control, chances are he could become the second guy to do that. I'll give that a check in between innings.
Trying to become the 93rd to win 200 games. And 4 ERA titles. I mean, the ERA around 3 when you're a power pitcher like that, knowing that you're going to walk some, although his walks have, as a rule, never really been a problem.
Yeah.
For a guy that throws as hard and goes as many innings as he does. And there's another strikeout. So he may catch Tanana tonight. I'm not sure. I'm only kidding, of course.
Yeah, Powder River. That's the other thing about that split finger pitch. Sometimes you get 2 strikes on you, and you maybe expect it, and then you get the express. I mean, that fastball's got at least 4 inches of the plate. And Bernie may have been thinking splitter, got the gas instead.
So Bernie will sit in that and will bring up Tino Martinez at a major league record with 34 RBIs in the month of April. We were here the last night. Hit the home run to set that record. 34. Carter, backhand. Clemens covering. Boggs stranded at second base. So a pair of punch-outs for Roger Clemens. We've played one, no score. Yankees and Yanks, although both Roger Clemens and Kenny Rogers gave up a safety, if you will. And so now here in the top of the second, Jacob Brumfield, Benito Santiago, and Alex Gonzalez. 5, 6, 7. Brumfield in about mid-August last year when he got some playing time, really all of a sudden had a couple weeks where he went long ball, had 12 home runs. Most of half of those came in about a 2-week span, as I recall. And Rogers off speed in there for a strike.
Another guy they got from Pittsburgh, so Gord Ash and Cam Bonifay have hooked up on a couple of deals.
Gets under this one, as does Timmy Raines. Yeah, just floated out there. He noticed the hot dog wrapper. That went a little farther than we thought, but 1 up, 1 down here in the second inning. Darryl Strawberry in to see the Yankees team doctor. I don't think he got great news today. He's going to see another doctor tomorrow before they decide the situation. Strawberry played in Norwich with the Navigators, the AA team for the Yankees on Monday. There's a ground ball on the first pitch to Benito Santiago. Boggs across, 2 up and 2 down, but to complete the story, he went 0 for 2 Monday against Portland. He's playing left field, although he was running gingerly. Took batting practice Tuesday, had too much pain. The cartilage inflamed again in the knees, and he just is gimping around.
I talked to him before the game tonight, and he had not seen the doctor. I said, "What are you hoping for?" And he said, "Man," he said, "I'm so discouraged. It just isn't getting any better." He said, "You know, they can scope this thing." He said, "I really hope they decide they can do something about it and scope it and get it healthy once and for all." But again, we didn't get a final report on what the doctor said.
Well, I do know he's going to see another one tomorrow, no matter what that report is. Is now with 2 down. This is Alex Gonzalez, but really, he's not going to DH on this team. That's not really an option.
No, not right now. Not as long as Cecil's here, anyway.
Very frustrating for Strawberry. Off-speed pitch outside. News much better for Doc Gooden, who I saw before the game. He was here, and he will make his. He pitched Sunday with Norwich against the New Haven Ravens down at Yale Field and did very well. He'll pitch against Friday in Norwich, and then we'll pitch against Wednesday, either for Norwich or the AAA team in Columbus, and then should be back. So 2 weeks is the target for Gooden, and things are right on schedule.
Yeah, the Ravens are a Colorado Rockies farm club. It seems though they've been facing all the good pitchers lately. They've been struggling a little bit. They got a win today, 10-7 over your Giants.
The parent club, you mean?
Yes.
Little chopper. Rogers off the mound, spins, fires, and very meekly the Jays are gone here in inning number 2.
Roger Clemens back to the hill to face Paul O'Neill. Roger Clemens and the Jays scoreless with the Yankees in the bottom of the second. Chris Berman along with Dave Soup Campbell. You need to warm up that soup tonight.
I'll tell you what, there's enough heat here coming off Clemens' arm to warm things up here.
2 strikeouts in the first inning. He'll face Paul O'Neill, Cecil Fielder, and Derek Jeter. One thing is, you look at Roger, there's the squat. Talk about a guy whose work ethic and off-season and during-season conditioning. I said, how long do you really want to go? I mean, he has the 3-year contract with a 4-year option here. And he said, well, you know what? And he started grabbing his thigh. He said, these things are my vehicle, and they feel as good as they ever did. Look the way he's so athletic and pushes off the hill. Ball 1 misses outside to Paul O'Neill. But that's really been his bread and butter.
Well, you look at the power pitchers, and 2 guys that pitched across town, Tom Seaver and Nolan Ryan. Tremendous thighs. They just got such great push off on that mound. You pitch with your legs, that takes the strain off your arm. Again, watch the leg drive. Effortless motion with the arm. When you use the power in your legs, a lot of guys still pitch fairly stiff-legged, and those are the guys that usually have the myriad of arm injuries.
That one missed a little bit outside the low. Count is 2-1 to Paul O'Neill. O'Neill, one of the 4 Yankees in the lineup tonight. Hitting over 300 at 322. Derek Jeter's at 298. Otherwise, it would be 5. But where Roger would say, gee, I wouldn't mind a lineup like this. Of course, he could have had a lineup like this. Count is now 3-1 in the offseason. And the Yankees said they would match any offer anywhere else. But Toronto came into the hunt when it was apparent that if it wasn't going to be Boston, that his hometowns or his home state teams of either Houston or Texas would not be able to get it done. Toronto came in the picture as kind of a late suitor, really.
Well, Paul Beeson took the right tack. He talked to Roger about his family, and that was one thing the Red Sox didn't want to allow families in the clubhouse. When Roger's kids come up this summer, they're going to have 4 lockers right next to his. So that was one of the big selling points that got him there.
Full count to O'Neill. The lead off the second. Fouls it back. He said, you know, I would have taken about $4 or $5 million a year to stay in Boston. Now, he ended up getting the equivalent of about $8 million a year to go to Toronto. But he says, I would have taken that.
Well, right now, it looks like a good deal for the Jays, but the only way we're going to know for sure is that Dan Duquette was reluctant to give a pitcher 4 years that had a history of arm problems. So right now, the deal looks good, but you're really going to have to look at this 2 or 3 years down the line.
I know which way the fans in Boston are looking at it right now. I think I'm a little aware of their feelings at this moment.
By the way, we looked it up. 870 walks he has allowed, counting the 14 this year. So he has an outside shot at 3,000 because his control is getting better and better. So he's got a margin of 130 walks before he gets those strikeouts.
Well, the Boston fans see the 7-0, only that 14-0 start, which was the 5th best ever start in the majors. Smoltz had a 14-0 start last year, but that 14-0 in '86, which turned to 24-4. He issues his first pass of the night, so O'Neill is aboard, and that will bring up Cecil Fielder. You talk about a guy who Clemens has owned through the years. And Roger was yelling for
tongue depressor.
File?
Yeah, he wants tongue. No, it's not a file. I think that's the
I
other
don't mean
guy.
that. I meant
Yeah,
for the mud in the cleats. No, not a file. I didn't mean it that way. Just open up and say please. A little mud out. Well, again, Cecil Fielder, lifetime against Clemens. 1 for 41 with 20 strikeouts. Surprise, strike 1.
Yeah, and if he keeps making pitches like that, there's going to be 21 strikeouts. He paints him up on the outside corner first pitch.
Cess only with the 3 homers thus far this year, so the Yankees waiting for him to warm up. They figure maybe when the temperature does. Of course, that may never happen here in the Northeast. We really had that one misses inside fastball. We had a nice winter here in the Northeast until spring came. It's been awful.
Kind of like Chicago. I just saw the other day they finally had a temperature of 68 degrees at game time for a Cub game. That was the warmest all year.
This was a nice day here in the New York area today. Kind of looks like a candlestick crowd, doesn't it, where you were last night, Mr. Red Eye? Clemens paints that corner, and you're right. If he can hit that pitch, it'll be more than Cecil that'll strike out of it.
Sitting in O'Hare Airport this morning at 6 o'clock, kind of blurry-eyed, look across, and who's there? Harold Reynolds. He's on the same flight. He'd been in Chicago, coming back to New York to do a piece here.
Harold was around when Clemens had that 20 strikeout game. Allen gets past Santiago and go in the dugout. And now the hustle by O'Neill, but you just get the one. So O'Neill to second base. That'll be a wild pitch.
Had a play like that was disputed by Joe Torre the other day, but the rule is, in fact, O'Neill was the runner. He was the second and was going. Ball got away from the catcher and rolled in the dugout. But the rule is, when the ball is delivered from the mound, whether it goes up on the backstop or in the dugout, it's only one base. Just an ironclad rule.
Yeah, trying to get fans of all sorts riled up here with, well, the Yankees really for the second inning. Now have a runner in scoring position. Bonds with a double with one out, was stranded in the first. Now O'Neill at second base with none out. Missed inside, so the count is now full to Cecil.
Good discipline by the big guy that time, because that was one of those exploding splitters and went straight down at the last minute. Again, if you're geared up for 95-mile-an-hour heat, that one starts about knee-high and then just dive bomb. Tough to lay off. One thing Cecil showed, especially in the World Series last year, though, against pitchers he respects, he'll give in a little bit and start thinking opposite field. He was very successful against the Braves in the World Series last year. Hit .409 in that series, and most of his hits went the opposite way.
Well, that one had some smoke on it as that went caromed off the facade and back into the seats. He's going to pay attention. You go to a ball game when it comes off Cecil's bat like that.
Yeah, most of the time Cecil is going to take his 3 good rips, especially against pitchers that don't have real good stuff. But again, you could see 3 and 2 there. He was still protecting the plate, just trying to put it in play.
Three-two pitch again. We'll have another one. We told you about the strikeouts, and Roger has 2 tonight. This is where he stands. And this is just a nice little slice here of the strikeout list. I mean, he's got a little more than Warren Spahn. Tonight, next on the list, some guy named Cy Young is number 13. Number 17 on the list, Bob Feller. He has more than Bob Feller, Rapid Robert. I mean, now you're in some rarefied air when you get names up like this.
Yeah, but think about 5,714.
Oh, I know. Cecil draws a walk, so we're not talking strikeouts here in the second. We're talking walks. Now 2 on for Derek Jeter. Yeah, 5-7-1-4. We'll look at the pitch first.
Well, I must have jinxed Roger talking about the fact he could become the second guy to walk less than 1,000. He's walked 2. That ball was definitely down. And Clemens in a little bit of hot water here. You know, that's the one thing, Chris, that the Yankees did last year and also have done again this year. Not only do they hit, but this year they lead the American League in walks drawn. Last year they were second to the White Sox. They just get so many guys on base. Tino Martinez, give him credit, he's driven in 51, but he's had more men on base than anybody in baseball to get those 51 RBIs. The highest percentage guy of driving runners in so far this year has been Tony Gwynn. Number 2 is Griffey, and Tino's number 3.
Derek Jeter hitting number 7. Square to bunt, draws it back, and takes it for a ball. Jeter, of course, is hit just about every slot. He's hit 1, he's hit 2, he's hit 6, he's hit 7, he's hit 8, he's hit 9. But with Raines in the lineup, as long as Boggs plays, he'll pretty much hit number 7 these days for Joe Torre.
Now, the other thing, Joe plays a National League style of ball in the American League. They are great on fundamentals. A lot of times they'll play 1 run at a time with their outstanding starting pitching. And testimony to Clemens, at least he had Jeter squaring the first pitch.
That misses outside. That's the 18th pitch of the inning for Clemens. Remember, nobody is out at 13 pitches in the first inning. So, different story already.
A lot of guys, you start to really worry early about pitch count, but Roger Clemens last year threw 125 pitches or more than any other pitcher in baseball. But you don't want to have 18 pitches without still an out.
O'Neill at second, Cecil Fielder at first. Carter charging in on the, well, not what could have been a bunt, but Jeter squared to hit. And now Clemens is behind 3-0. So here we have a 2 strikeouts in the first inning. He's close to walking through. You did it.
I know it. Jinx.
Green light?
Oh, no.
I'm just asking.
Yeah, gotta make him throw a strike
here. I wouldn't think so, but Duncan is on deck.
That'll be the true test. He never walks.
There's the strike. 3-1.
See if Derek, even though he's ahead 3-1 and he does hit, let's see if he does a situational thing here. What you really want is a ball hit to the right side. It's a lot tougher to turn that double play 4-6-3, especially if Garcia has to go to his left. So instead of looking for a pitch to Jerk, let's see if he still situationally hits here.
John Zimmer chatting it up with Joe Torre. Ground ball to second. Taylor made. Garcia, Gonzalez, Carter. They turn the 2. O'Neill moves over to third, but there's the pitch that a pitcher who is on the verge of 200 wins has to make, and he did.
Thought process was great for Jeter, but instead of making Garcia go to his left, he sends Garcia to his right, and this becomes tailor-made. That's a great pitch into Jeter's hands. That might be a matter of Roger knowing that Derek's a good situational hitter, and he just pounded him hard in on the hand. Right idea by Jeter, but bad execution.
So 2 out now. Runner at third base is O'Neill, and Mariano Duncan will be up. Duncan, a very much of a stand-up guy, had a tough game in the field yesterday. Last night, as the guys that finished 1-2 in the AL Cy Young balloting battled yesterday, and the result was the same, and Henkin beat Pettit. But really some miscues, a couple of miscues. One went as an error, but one did not. By Mariano Duncan. Double play ball. He didn't get the leather on, and then with a score 1-0 in eighth, a shot with the infield in went past him. But Duncan said, hey, it was my fault. We need to play better defense. I need to play better. We have a game tomorrow. Let's go after that one.
Well, the Yankees finished second in the majors to Texas last year in defense, but talking to the New York personnel so far this year, their defense has not been quite as sharp, and obviously they are still searching for a setup man to replace Mariano Rivera. That's been the other problem they've had in the early going this year.
Jeter's defense has been very good, but Duncan's is there's a shot past first base coach Jose Cardinal. It's foul. Duncan been a little off at second base. I mean, the Yankees play smart defense, but you know, part of it again, Posada will be a very good catcher, but they haven't had Girardi as much behind the plate.
Greatest player I ever played against, right there.
Really?
Jose Cardinal.
How
he
so?
He wasn't the greatest player ever, but whatever team he played on, every time I played against him, he went 4 for 4, stole 3 bases, hit 2 homers. Didn't matter if it's the Cubs, Cardinals, or whoever.
Duncan tried to dig that one out, could not get it. 1-2. How long do you think it takes a guy like a Benito Santiago, as good as Clemens is, to get used to to get in the same zone? Both men say that they really have a good understanding, but it does take a time, doesn't it?
Oh, it really does. It takes a while to get to know a staff, but with a guy like Clemens, Roger doing a little hip hop, he thought he had strike 3, but Ken Kaiser did not agree.
Well, the reason I ask is so many splitters are thrown that Santiago has to get used to that.
Roger thought he had painted. The other thing is here, let's see with Santiago. Now, a man on third base, that's when you find the true mettle of a catcher, if he'll call that splitter, if he has the confidence to block it. He did.
Yes, he did. And he delivered. 3 strikeouts through 2 innings for the Rocket Man, so the Yankees had a rally going, nothing across. We've played 2. Score names. Bruno Alfonso. Like your Bob Shepard snapped that one off. Well, they will have a chance, right?
I saw him play last weekend in Shea Stadium. He has turned into a great defensive third baseman.
He will have a chance on June 16, 17, and 18 when the Mets and the Yankees play something other than the Mayor's Trophy game.
Edgardo.
Here, ladies and gentlemen,
Boys and girls.
Edgardo Alfonso. Tilson Brito is your batter. 8-9-1. Brito, Garcia, and then Otis Nixon at the top of the order. Let's not forget Kenny Rogers just surrendered to 1 single here, facing 7 batters thus far, and he's ahead of Brito. 1-2.
Heard a lot of pitchers express it, but Tom Seaver probably said it best. He said a great pitcher is going to face 2 critical situations in a game where he has to get out of jams to win. Well, Roger Clemens just got out of 1. Walked 2, 3 balls, 1 strike on Derek Jeter, a good contact hitter. He induces the double play ball and then strikes out Duncan.
Grounder off the end of the bat, and it'll be gobbled up by Duncan, and there's 1 up, 1 down. Well, night off for the Pucks tonight, but we get back to the business of the conference finals, and the Detroit Red Wings, who have really outplayed the defending Stanley Cup champion, the Colorado Avalanche, try and go up 3-1. Can the Lance get some scoring from Tato Sakic and Centrifugal Forsberg? That's tomorrow night at 7:30 Eastern time. And then Friday night, Eric Lindros with a hat trick last night as the Flyers went up 2-1 at the Rangers. With the Flyers and the Rangers Friday night at 7:30 Eastern time. A wild game last night here in New York as swing at the first pitch and past the glove of Duncan is a ball hit by Carlos Garcia. So
must be the new glasses.
Yeah. Well, they were talking about he's supposed to test him out in a game that they play against their AAA club, as so many of the ball clubs do, Syracuse, but it was rained out Monday. And he wore him last night for the first time, hit a couple of Ps. That was a P.
280 plus last year for the Pirates, and he had a horrible spring, and it continued over into the season. But this guy has a good opposite field stroke, and maybe he's going to get on track. I know the Jays have been getting a little impatient with him.
When you're below that Mendoza line, they said it was a soft 192, but a couple of ropes here. And
you coined that, right, the Mendoza
well,
line?
no, that wasn't me.
Oh, I thought it was
you.
George. Oh, okay.
George Brett, wasn't it?
I'm just glad.
George coins everything.
I'm glad I wasn't around. I'm glad my career was done. Might have been the Campbell line.
Well, George waited till you were out of there. So that was George Brett, one of our all-time favorites. The vice president, right? Mr. Vice President.
Absolutely. Garcia has stolen 6 in a row. Again, Girardi's got the bad shoulder, but Rogers has a great move.
And speaking of which, there's the move, and the proverbial pickle, and Garcia is gone.
I'll tell you, the Yankees have a couple of left-handers, Andy Pettitte and Kenny Rogers, that can really slow down the running game. Garcia totally hung out to dry. Tino Martinez makes a good play on this, too. He runs up to meet the ball, so he's not going to be throwing in the baseline. It's a good thing that first basemen do. Watch Tino run up when he knows that the runner's picked off. He comes up into the baseline. That way he's got a clear shot down to the shortstop, Jeter, and Jeter just tags him out. 1-3-6 on the pickoff. Caught stealing.
So now the base is empty, and they count 1-0 to Nixon. Fouls it back. You know, they play both anthems, of course, with the Blue Jays here. And we're thinking Pucks when you hear "Oh Canada" before. And we went to that game last night in New York, and the play Lindros made, an empty net goal when he just abused a Hall of Fame player, Mark Messier. And this guy was happy. The Flyers last night, they just kind of went around Mark Messier, switched the sticks. It was he just abused one of the best players of all time to pick up his 3rd goal. And the way it's going thus far, although we have yet to hear the end from the Lance or the Rangers, I am sure, but it's supposed to be Philadelphia and Detroit 2 years ago in the finals, and each kind of laid an egg. Detroit getting to the finals and being horrible against New Jersey, and the Flyers being horrible in the round before against New Jersey. Maybe 2 years later, this is the year that they meet.
I watched all three of the Avalanche games. First two, you're absolutely right. Detroit totally dominated, but I thought Colorado outplayed them in Detroit, but Vernon just...
Yeah, they came back a little bit better in the third game. Pitches up top to Nixon. Count is 3-1. So again, all the series continuing on ESPN. The West tomorrow at 7:30. The East on Friday at 7:30. Very brave wearing a Flyers jersey around in New York. A Yankee hat, though. Maybe that's the okay, we'll let it go.
Yeah. Well, it's not Friday night. You can get away with it unless it's Friday night at Yankee Stadium.
So Nixon gets a walk, making much larger that pickoff move by Kenny Rogers.
Yeah, you could think about guys like Kenny Lofton and Marquise Grissom, but I was kind of surprised looking over some of the Jays' notes that in the decade of the 90s, Otis Nixon has more stolen bases than anybody else in baseball. But again, he'll be tested with that move of Rogers. Ricky Henderson is slowed down somewhat. Of course, Lofton didn't start until 91, so Otis had a year's head start on him.
And that's a good term for Otis, a head start.
Yeah.
This year already, Nixon with 18 stolen bases, so he's past that 500 mark.
38 years old and not slowing down any. Still has the wheels.
And of course, he is co-holder of the record for most stolen bases. Ripped over Olimping Martinez is that ball off the bat of Orlando Merced. In the here comes Nixon. Will they send him home? Nick Leyba is holding him up as O'Neill came around with the ball into Martinez quick enough. Although Nixon was seeing the plate, Leyba was way down the line and made the decision when Nixon hit third base.
Well, the thing that Nick wanted to make sure was that O'Neill got the ball to Duncan, the relay man. You always keep that runner coming around till the second guy handles it, and then you make your decision. But Otis does what he should do, and that's keep coming hard like he's going to score, and then Leyba way up the line. As soon as Duncan handles the relay, puts the brakes on.
So Merced just at first base as the throw comes right into Tino. That did two things, of course. Kept Merced from going anywhere and obviously kept Nixon from scoring. And here's the RBI producer, who should be for the Blue Jays, Joe Carter.
Well, if everybody keeps going like Garcia and Merced, everybody on the Blue Jays may start wearing glasses. Two guys with the hits in the inning.
Rogers misses inside. You know, Carter, once upon a time, from 89 to 94, had 6 straight RBI seasons. But if one year he had 98, Cleveland would have had that been 100, would have been 9 straight years of 100 RBI. And that's before everyone in the majors had 100 RBI. And that's changed over 10 years.
Well, last year we had 8 guys with 130 or more. First time somebody reached 150 since Tommy Davis when Andres Galarraga of the Rockies did it. So the offense is taking over. There really haven't been anything legislated to help pitchers since 1968 when they lowered the mound in '69. And since then, it's smaller strike zones, hitters bigger and stronger.
Rip past the diving Jeter, and Nixon will score. Merced to stop at second, and the Blue Jays have drawn first blood. They could have drawn more had not Rogers made the pickoff, but they're on the board, and Clemens has something to work with. And the omnipresent smile of Joe Carter.
Yeah, Roger Clemens has 38 career shutouts, and at least his club has gotten him a run to work with here. Not a bad pitch, but Carter just goes down and slams it in the hole. The defense, you can see Jeter was way over, but Carter found the hole between Boggs and Derek.
So now 2 aboard for Ed Ocean Sprague. Pitch outside. I mean, 2 ways to look at it. Rogers' pickoff move, Dave, really thus far has kept him only to 1 run. But, you know, bases clear, 2 outs, and now here's a rally. That's not what's supposed to happen.
A walk, a fisted single by Merced, and Carter finds the hole.
Yeah, Otis saying, now listen, Carlos, next time you're aboard, just pay attention to this, will you?
Yeah, well, I think Otis is also asking Garcia what he saw in that. But Otis certainly has seen Kenny Rogers for a number of years. Maybe it's just the opposite. Otis telling Carlos that the key to watch maybe his front hip or some little thing that Otis Nixon has picked up over the years.
Ripped down the line, but it's going to be foul.
I just got a kick out of Vince Coleman whenever he was playing on a team that their dugout was the first base dugout. He always sat as far down in the dugout to the right as he possibly could so he could study that pitcher's move from the best angle he could. Base stealers knew all those little tricks. The good one, you notice, is a good one.
He started to say that he's one of the co-holders of the record, 6 stolen bases in 1 inning. This one will 1 inning. That would be great in 1 game. Oops. That would be a record. I don't think there'll be a co-holder of that one. But 6 stolen bases tied by Eric Young last year. Eddie Collins did it twice in the 1912 season. But 6 in 1 game, that's pretty good.
I saw Eric Young steal the 6 against Hideo Nomo in relievers. Rocky stole 10 bases that day. Nomo gave up 50 last year. But, you know, Hideo, I've noticed this year, has come up with a little bit of a slide step to give Piazza a chance.
Well, you mentioned pickoffs. Nobody better than Andy Pettitte.
I tell you, catcher's best friend. You got a pitcher that either can have a great pickoff move or has a quick delivery to the plate, like a Terry Mulholland with the Cubs. He's not going to steal many bases.
That pitch up top to Sprague. Count is 2-2.
I think Terry Mulholland in the last 4 years has allowed only a total of 3 stolen bases. He is so quick to the plate.
Talk about moments in the game. This is a big situation here for Kenny Rogers. Sprague to left field. Raines is back. He can't get it. No one will get it. Gone.
Well, we weren't sure Sprague was going to play. I think Roger Clemens is glad he's in there, and he didn't show any signs of limping. Big moment in the game, I guess. 4 runs for Roger to work with.
Well, I hate to say we were prophetic, but Cito Gaston says, hey, you can pull that hammy any time if you can pull this pitch that just hung out over the plate like this. Gone. Home run number 8 for Sprague, a 3-run shot. All of these runs coming with 2 out and nobody aboard, and a big 4 spot up there for the Jays.
Well, Kenny Rogers was starting to get back in the good graces of his manager, Joe Torre. This probably isn't going to do anything to help.
Count is 1-1 to Jacob Brumfield. That pitch missed. 2-1.
Yankees had not lost 2 games in a row over their last 30 games until Pat Henkin shut them out last night after they'd lost to Texas on Sunday. So all of a sudden, Joe Torre, the Yankees have been playing great. They've won 20 of 29, but they can't close much ground on the Orioles, who are 30-13 after their win today.
Here's a shot to right field. Back goes O'Neill. Back. He has room. The ball has to go a little bit farther out there. It's carrying to left and not to right. But boy, after all seemed well, booing for Rogers. And a happy one for Roger. Stands, are we, Linda? Well, Joe Torre scanning his dugout and not doing much talking with Kenny right now as Ed Sprague, 3-run home run. And Rogers and the Yankees are down 4-0. I told you, he's one of the few Jays that can provide some consistent offense.
8 home runs, but the first one that was a non-solo for Sprague this year. He hits a 3-1 blast.
And the Blue Jays, who now only have really a couple days a week when they get more than 4 runs in a whole game. And 4 already here through 3 innings. And Roger Clemens has a big bowl with which to work. He's 1-1 to Joe Girardi. Girardi, the 9-hitter, will be followed by Timmy Raines and Wade Boggs atop the order.
Cito Gaston, smart manager, probably told his team, let's play a little Earl Weaver baseball tonight. 3-run homers, good pitching, and keep playing the great defense.
Fastball in the outside corner. Count is 1-2. Cito saw his Cy Young Award winner, Pat Henkin, shut out the Yankees here last night, 2-0. And Roger, of course, has won 3 with the Red Sox. And, of course, this award doesn't go all the way back to the time Cy Young pitched, but only Greg Maddux and Steve Carlton with 4 have more, as Girardi will sit down and strike out number 4 for Clemens.
Third strikeout on the split finger pitch. The other one was the fastball that froze Bernie Williams.
Here they are again. Maddox and Carlton have had 4, but the American League, Clemens is tied with the most. Jim Palmer, that's the AL mark. Some guy named Koufax and some guy named Seaver also won 3. Remember, once upon a time Cy Young won 511 games, so hence the reason the award is named after him. And it's interesting to note that Clemens and Cy Young are tied for all-time wins as member of the Red Sox. Young pitched for several teams, but he had 192 wins in Boston colors, and same number for Clemens.
Another important tenet in pitching: when your team goes out and scores, put a 0 up. Clemens knows that. He's going out after the Yankees here in the bottom half of the 3rd.
Rain struck out to begin the first inning for the Yanks in the ball game for him. Still looks a little strange to see Clemens in the Blue Jay colors, but I guess we're going to get used to it, as that a simple 4-3 as Raines is gone. That'll bring up Wade Boggs, who doubled, kind of slicing a ground rule double on the left field side his first time up. With a view at Yankee Stadium.
Every time I see that number 13 on Carlos Garcia, I think about the time Jeff Fassero, number 13 of the Expos, had a 13-0 lead over the Pirates. No hitter, 8 2/3, and number 13, Carlos Garcia, broke it up. There must be something in there.
It's not all unlucky. Odsey wearing number 12. His average has a way to go, certainly. At 261 after his double. Little chopper. Gonzalez will make the play. Fires over to Joe Carter, and as you say, hang a 0, especially with a 1-2-3 inning. Clemens and the Jays leading the Yankees 4-0. First of all, don't ever let it happen again. Second of all, maybe peek in on a little bit of history tonight. Roger Clemens looking for win number 200, and the Rocket Man with a 4-0 lead here in the top of inning number 4 is catcher Benito Il Duce Santiago. 30 homers last year for the Phils. Ground ball backhanded by Duncan over to Martinez, 1 down. Well, Mariano, who of course hands out the t-shirts, was a key part last year, just the whole attitude of this World Championship Yankee club. We play today, we win today. Das it, spelled D-A-S-S-I-T. There's the t-shirt underneath the uni. Some of his teammates do as well. Das it. The old yacker just for ball 1 to Alex Gonzalez. Ran it back to the pitcher the first time up in the second inning. Hit well to center, but Bernie Williams is there, and there's 2 down.
Well, Pat Henkin working on a string of 39 consecutive innings without allowing an earned run. And between he and Roger Clemens so far this year, 12-1, and Roger's got a leg up on 13-1 between them. The thing that's hurt the Jays again. Juan Guzman has been spotty with shoulder problems. They lost their number 4 starter, Eric Hansen, to shoulder surgery, and they haven't scored runs. But those 2 guys are like money in the bank, Clemens and Henkin right now.
Talked to both of them before the game. Guzman will pitch Friday for the Jays. Hansen said the successful shoulder surgery. Originally thought he might be out for the year. Says he should be back in August. Now they can hang. Admittedly, Baltimore and New York are formidable teams, but they can hang, get a little hitting, and Guzman pitches. That 1-2-3 lineup. Remember, Henkin was opening day starter, not Clemens.
You know, the other thing, those guys were 1-2-3 in the American League last year and lowest batting average allowed. I mean, they're going to run some zeros up at you. Jays just need to get a little more offense and get Guzman and Hansen healthy. Woody Williams, we mentioned, has done a good job in that 5-hole. He's averaged nearly 7 innings a start.
Fastball, fisted. Duncan won't get it. Gonzalez, Brito aboard with a base hit. So with 2 down and Carlos Garcia coming up, a base runner at first, our second half of our double dip, we'll head out to the Big A, where Junior Griffey, 20 home runs already, about 10 or 11 games ahead of the pace of one Roger Maris and one Babe Ruth when they had their 60 or 61 home run seasons. Junior Griffey and the Mariners against Tim Sockeye Salmon and the suddenly hot-hitting Angels. That game following us, 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 on the West Coast.
He was Sockeye yesterday. He had the big hit before. The last 3 or 4 games, he'd been Tim's co-host, Sam. He was getting a lot of O's. 0 for 3, 0 for 4.
High-scoring game between those clubs last night in Seattle. What, hung a 13 spot or whatever it was on Monday night?
Yeah, but that Mariner bullpen is big-time trouble right now. Lou Piniella's got to be tearing his hair out because they're just not getting the job done. Cleveland's having big-time problems with their bullpen as well. Yankees looking for a setup man.
Fastball misses in.
I think if Baltimore gets Alan Mills back, and they say he's fairly close, they may have as good a depth in the American League in that bullpen as any team. And of course, over in the National League, the Dodgers, the lowest scoring team in the major leagues, but don't count them out with that pitching.
Fisker back to Rogers, fumbled, fired, makes the play. So Garcia is gone, and so are the Jays. Brito remains at first. We head to the bottom of the 4th. The Yankees got to do some sticking against Roger Clemens. Roger Clemens and the Jays lead the Yankees 4-0 in the bottom of the 4th. In the heart of the Yankee order, Williams, Martinez, and O'Neill to step up. And it's kind of what Roger likes. Okay, you got your stuff there. Let me show you my stuff.
Part of the competitive nature of them. Your best against my best. Bernie Williams caught looking his first time up. Fastball. I think Clemens surprised him with it.
First pitch fouled away. Clemens always a workhorse. I mean, there's some years when he's had the groin injury, a little bit of an arm injury, but 100 complete games in his career. That's a pretty good number.
38 shutouts, not too shabby, but again, the durability he has. And again, annually, you look at the guys who throw 125 pitches plus in a ball game. That's almost the watermark for managers to make sure they keep their jobs to get starters out after that many pitches. But Clemens has proven time and again that he can go into that 130, 140 pitch mode and still have great stuff.
He struck out the side 108 times in his career. Some numbers that start to really, and each one of them on their own is impressive in a different way. Fastball misses outside. Here are the basic numbers. 199 and 111. An ERA of just over 3. Strikeouts, about 7.5, 8 per game.
Most impressive number out of that 199 wins, 114 of them have come after his team has lost. So he stops losing streaks.
1-2 pitch on the way to Williams. Yeah, I was going to get into that with Boston. 111 and 44
after a loss.
After a loss, and then fittingly, his first 2 starts this year came after losses and won those, and he's won another one. So 3-0 this year with the Jays. That as a team number is about as impressive as you can get.
Well, if you can stay away from those 7 to 10 game losing streaks over the course of the year, and you have a good ball club, I mean, that's the definition of a stopper. The guy that can stop a losing streak. Take the bull by the horns, go out and pitch 9 innings, give your bullpen a rest, which is another important thing. His ability to get deep in games. That's the thing with Greg Maddux down in Atlanta. I mean, when he's healthy, and he's got a little bit of a hamstring right now, but Bobby Cox can plan the day before and the day after to set up his bullpen because he always knows he's going to get 7 or 8 out of that guy.
Well, Maddux isn't alone down there either.
No.
Strikeout. Williams will sit down. Strikeout number 5 tonight for Clemens, who has had a 14 strikeout game this season. 2 starts ago at Minnesota.
Well, he's beaten Bernie twice with the gas. That's got to get Bernie thinking as he goes back to the dugout, I may have to speed up the bat a little bit. And then when Clemens sees that, then he'll start throwing him the splitter.
Tino Martinez grounded to first, his first time up. Starts him outside and a strike, says Kenny Kaiser behind the plate.
Tino's first little glitch of the year so far. He's in the throes of a 2 for 24 right now.
Again with the corner. You know, one thing that Clemens, we talked before the game, he said, I told Benito Santiago, you know, 0 for 4, I understand that, but in this league, what I really need from you is to sell that pitch. I hit that corner, I need you to sell that pitch. And he sold those two on the outside corner right there.
That's kind of amazing. Benito Santiago has won 3 Gold Gloves in his career, but quite frankly, most people feel that Charlie O'Brien, the backup catcher, is a much better defensive catcher.
Little chopper. It's handled by Garcia, and there are 2 outs. Let's head on over to Linda Cohen. Linda?
Thank you, Chris. At the Jag Royals and Indians, KC's Jay Bell wants a do-over. You will see why as Cleveland will pull off the double steal. Franco heads from first to second. Jim Thome taking advantage, goes from third to home. It's 1-0 Cleveland, top of the 5th, gentlemen.
They tried doing it without the long ball. Well, they're on a pace to break the Orioles mark of last year. But a little base path maneuvering by Jim Thome, can you hear me, and company. Paul O'Neill, who walked his first time up. We'll look at strike 1. If I give Roger that 4-run lead, and he's done what? He's retired the 5 batters his base after he got the 4 runs.
Yeah, throwing nothing but strikes right now, too. He had that little blip in the 2nd inning, walked 2 and went 3-1 on Jeter, and then made his biggest pitch of the night.
Well, thus far tonight, the numbers for the Rocket Man: 3 2/3. The only hit, the double by Boggs in the 1st inning. 5 strikeouts. We talk about all those things that are so impressive, and one of those that won 14 and 44 after a loss. How about 10 years apart, matching that mark of 20 strikeouts in one game? I mean, that's 86 in the spring and in the fall of 96. To me, that's incredible.
Well, I played in a game that Tom Seaver struck out 19 back in 1970 to set a major league record at the time. I didn't think anybody would ever strike out more than that. Clemens has done it twice.
Was it Seaver first or Carlton?
Hey, no, it might have been Carlton in 69, and Seaver could have tied it. Carlton was... I remember Ron Swoboda hit two two-run homers off him that night. He struck out 19 and lost to the Mets.
Lost the game. Well, we can find this answer out. Yeah, Carlton was in 69 and Seaver in 70. Nolan Ryan in 74 and David Cohn in 91. And guess what? Roger has 6 strikeouts. O'Neill will draw some pine. We've played 4. 4 is the magic number. As the Jays and Clemens lead it 4-0. Red Sox pitching not there, and their pitching is here. It's Roger Clemens. Boy, Frank Thomas, he actually didn't get on base last night once, huh?
He almost tied the splendid Splinter 15 times in a row on base. Ted Williams' record was 16. It is 16. Williams, kind of thinking that 16 straight on base. He had 4 home runs, 1 single, 9 walks, a double, and hit by a pitch. Only 1 single out of the 16 straight times on base.
Otis Dixon, Orlando Merced, Joe Carter. To begin the 5th inning, and Nixon begins it with a shot down. It'll go all the way to the fence. O'Neill will take the carom. Nixon looks over his shoulder, but will pull in with a double. So for the 2nd time tonight, Nixon is aboard.
Now might be the time that Otis Nixon, and if the time is right, might steal a base. Easier to do it to 3rd base against a left-hander than first with a guy with a good move. Otis double all the way here.
Otis, who walked with 2 outs in the 3rd, came around to score on Joe Carter's single, then Sprague with a 3-run home run. Trying to ignite something with no outs. As the Jays look for more for their main man, who doesn't at this point appear to need much more. This is Orlando I.M. Merced. Singleton scored in the third, struck out in the first.
Jeter pretty aware that Otis might like to steal third. He's really keeping him tight at second base. Tough to do with a left-handed batter up, especially if you hold him close. But Carter's next if Merced doesn't get him over.
Pitch way outside for a ball, 2-0. Brian Boehringer is up in the bullpen for the Yanks. You know, while Rogers is in, this is one of the oddest, here's Bo, as they call him, one of the oddest facts from last year's postseason, the glorious postseason the Yankees had. Kenny Rogers started 3 games in the postseason last year. The Yankees won all 3 of them. As Mel Stottlemyre will go out to talk to him. But remember the 3 games he started? He started in Texas when the Rangers were behind, got the early lead, but Bernie Williams, 2 home runs, bailed them out in the clincher in Game 4. He started, did Rogers, Game 4 of the ALCS against the Baltimore Orioles, a game eventually won by the Yankees. But again, Rogers' numbers in that one, not exactly something that you would write home about. 3 innings pitched, 4 runs, but the Yankees won 8-4. And then
Game 4,
the wildest, and we kind of had a feeling, we were there together,
yeah.
right? It was the Nagel-Rogers Game 4 game in the World Series, which eventually erupted with Leyritz hit the home run, and the Yankees came back from a 6-0 deficit. So Rogers was long showered, but they won all 3 games he started. Bizarre.
Well, he hadn't pitched all that well this year, but they're 5-3 in the games he started this year.
Merced hits it pretty well the opposite way. Raines has room at the edge of the track, makes the catch. Nixon will tag, and he'll go into third. So with 1 out, a runner at third, let's run it on over to Linda.
Thanks, Chris. The nightmare continues for Boston starter Chris Hammond in Chicago. You saw Frank Thomas hit his 8th of the year. Back-to-back jobs. Albert Bell extending his hitting streak to 17 games with home run number 7. Boston on their way to the 10th loss in 11 games.
I just know the way the knife turns up there, and Red Sox pitchers getting lit up. Roger Clemens pitching a shutout. Oops.
Did I not spot a few Boston writers here tonight in the yard?
Yes, very many. Well, that game continues the way it is on TV in Boston. We'll have them all watching this before long. Pitch inside to Joe Carter. I find that the symbolism. That game is over in Chicago. The Red Sox will fly in here in the wee hours to start a series tomorrow afternoon, and Roger Clemens and the Jays will leave. By the way, Roger, with the club of the day off tomorrow, heading home in Houston for what he hopes is a nice little family celebration for 24 hours.
Infield in, they know with Clemens pitching, they can't give up any more.
Boggs and Jeter will give a chase. Boggs battles it, leans over the rail, and then will eye Nixon in the face. Will eye him from about 2 feet away, and a good play by Boggsy for the second out.
One of the most famous spots in Yankee recent history. That was right in the area where Charlie Hayes caught the final out in the World Series. That ball was really up the elevator shaft, and Boggs hung with it. And Charlie, you never forget, making the 2-handed grab on that pop-up off the bat of Mark Lemke, and the celebration, and a well-mannered celebration, I might add, here in New York, which was a very pleasant, I guess, surprise. Fans were terrific here.
Here's the man that has given the Jays such a big lead, Ed Ocean Sprague, with his 3-run homer, his 8th of the year, or 2 outs off Rogers. And that one he swings through for a strike. One other note about New York, and we've done a few games here now this year, as it turned out. You know, this is not a political message or anything, but under Giuliani, have you noticed, you haven't had time yet, the streets, and I mean, there's no litter on the streets. I mean, it's much cleaner. So I got to give New Yorkers a big attaboy and attagirl. It's cleaner. The celebration was just a celebration last year. I've noticed the difference.
Well, Los Angeles Times columnist Mike Downey's line won't work anymore. He used to call it the city that never sweeps.
They sweep now.
Yep.
And it's very much appreciated. And it's 2-1 to Sprague. So obviously the hamstring didn't affect his batting swing with Nixon at third base.
Good job of running by Otis, by the way, tagging up on that fly ball. Raines was backpedaling. Nixon read it roll away. The ball Merced hit.
Off speed misses outside. Count of 3-1 with Brumfield on deck.
Yeah, I don't think Rogers is going to give in to Sprague with Jacob Brumfield. No disrespect to Jacob, but Ed Sprague's one of the legitimate threats in this Jays lineup. He's going to have to hit what Rogers wants him to hit here. I don't think Kenny's going to groove one. Or if he does, it'll be a huge mistake.
As you suggested, ball 4. So runners at the corners, and Joe Torre giving the signs like, get Brumfield out. They're the standings, and as well as the Orioles have played, and there's no question about the type of baseball they are playing. And you're right, the Yankees have trouble picking up ground. Remember, they started 5-10, so come on. You see Toronto, why they're hanging there? They've only had 1 3-game losing streak all year. They've had 3 4-game winning streaks. It's, again, with Henk and Clemens going, you're not going to get in too much trouble. But it's going to be tough if Baltimore continues to play like this for Toronto to hang unless they get some hitting. The Orioles come in here early next week, and we'll have that game for you, the first of our Memorial Day set twos. That's the early start. The Orioles and the Yankees for the first meeting of the season.
You think back to those World Championship years, the Jays had pretty good starting pitching, but it was their bullpen that was the big guys, and they had what they called the Wham Company with Devon White, Robbie Alomar, Paul Martyr, Paul Molitor, Joe Carter, and John Olerud. Only Joe Carter is left. Everybody else is gone.
Wayne Ward and Tom Henke, really what you're talking about in the pen. When they got to that 8th inning, they were pretty confident about the way things were going to end up.
Unlike the Yankees last year, when they got, what was it, 79-1 when they led after 7. They're only 21-7 this year.
Skied behind first. Tino Martinez in foul ground makes the catch. And so a pair is stranded, but still a 4-run lead for Roger Clemens to work with as we head to the bottom of the 5th. Bottom of the 5th in New York, Roger Clemens, perhaps halfway to his, or almost halfway to his 200th win. Will face Cecil Fielder, Derek Jeter, and Mariano Duncan. 6, 7, 8. Cecil hitting in the 6th spot tonight because we showed you. He did walk his first time up, was a race on a double play, but 1 for 41 with 20 strikeouts. Cecil against Roger Clemens. And that one was up and over everything. Ball 1.
See, I saw Roger just at the beginning of the inning doing some deep knee bends. Remember when he had that little bit of a groin earlier? That was something we saw on the mound, so we'll keep an eye on that. He had that one start he left with a groin problem and then missed a start. And before this inning, he was doing the deep knee bends out on the mound.
Making some of us jealous who can't do deep knee bends these days.
Oh, you're getting better.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay ahead of the temperature. My knee bends about what? 70 degrees, and it's about what tonight? Oh, I don't know. Maybe end up in the high 40s. There's that motion.
Again, the leg drive and that downward plane. See Roger look away a little bit. The ball was up a little higher than he wanted. Not that it was a pitch that Cecil would hit, but he wants to throw strikes.
Who else through the years reminds you, I mean, with that leg drive, maybe not exactly like Roger, but sticks out of the
well, certainly Seaver and Ryan. We mentioned those two guys earlier, and it's, you know, if you look for the guys with the big thighs. The pitchers with the big thighs are the ones that utilize them.
He always had a big leg drive, although his whole motion was a little more athletic, not to imply that Roger would, but I always remember a big leg drive, Vita Blue.
Yeah. Lefty, Oakland A's, 300 punch-outs his first year. Another Cy Young guy I got to face. No wonder my average. I saw that list of 6 guys up there. I hit against 3 of them without much success.
Well, you weren't alone.
I helped them. I helped them to those Cy Young awards. Somebody had to make outs, right?
Well, there were a lot of people other than that had a lifetime average a little higher than yours that made outs against those guys.
We were talking about the 20 strikeouts. Some fans not aware that's not actually the major league record for strikeouts in a game. A guy named Tom Cheney once struck out 21, but he did it over 16 innings. He was pitching with the Washington Senators. Dick Williams of the Orioles was, of course, went on to a great managerial career, was the 21st strikeout victim.
Count is 3-2 to Cecil.
Cecil's had 2 moral victories tonight, a walk and a 3-2 count. Again, if you tuned in late, Cecil 1 for 41 lifetime against Clemens with 20 strikeouts.
He'll try it next. Derek Jeter. Here's the full count to Cecil. He'll foul it off and do it again. So that 20 strikeout game, the first one, April 29, 1986. 3 hit, no walks in that, and he got a couple of strikeouts in the 9th inning. Phil Bradley was number 20.
Ken Kaiser got his bird cage rattled. Big Ken.
Well, these guys in the American League have seen a guy like Kenny Kaiser, Joe Brinkman at first base. They know what kind of pitcher Clemens is, and they appreciate it. Zona just goes out and works. Yeah, you're right. Cecil is determined that, hey, you know what, tonight, even if Roger gets number 200, enough of this with me.
Yeah, Cecil's tuning up the dial a little bit, too. He figures Clemens with that 4-0 lead, and he's leading off an inning, is going to challenge him with fastballs now, so he's having a little more aggressive swings. I think if Roger could drop the split finger on him and get it, at least start it in the strike zone, he would get him, but we'll have to see if Roger does that or if he just decides he's going to challenge the big guy.
Look at that second inning when he really struggled. He's been back on it. Cecil making him work here. And make him work some more. I don't know if we're going to quite get that 18-pitch, 14-minute at-bat that we had from Bip Roberts on Sunday.
With about 100 throws to first base because Tom Goodwin was over there. I saw that. I saw you guys have fun with that on Baseball Tonight.
Well, that was the first inning of that game. I mean, you're a fan, right, Mike? You've already gone out for food twice during that at-bat. Tuxedo Gaston, the manager of the Blue Jays.
Former teammate. Good guy.
Had a couple of big hitting years for the Pods, didn't he? 300 seasons.
That's a terrific year. 30 home runs, 95 RBIs, 320, 1970.
Cecil, a rope to left. Brumfield is back. Oh, and he makes the catch. That one a hair on it. Cecil gave it a ride. But Brumfield had him played pretty deep. Good at bat for Cecil.
It was, and Roger just said, okay, Cecil, I'm going to challenge you. And the big guy was definitely sitting dead red all the way. And he hit a low P, but Brumfield got a good jump. This is some low gas that Cecil just drops the head down, and he crunched at the left. But right now, things are going well for Roger as Brumfield runs it down.
First outfield out against Clemens, and Boggs' double down the left field line was really in a bit of a 220-footer. So, I mean, it's been strikeouts or ground balls. Been Rogers' night thus far. Derek Jeter grounded to short his first time up.
Yeah, Boggsy had the spoiler. Can you imagine right now sailing with a 4-0 lead if he had a no-hitter going to boot?
That would be too much fun. Now, one thing Roger has not done, if you look at Cess, he says, okay, now I've got you timed out here. So he came to work here, get a little bit of the grizzle going. He says, I'm going to see if I can't catch up to that heater. There's no no-hitter for Clemens yet in his arsenal. One hitter, I believe.
I'll tell you one thing. Roger took note of those swings Cecil had. He's going to see some splitters next time up.
One hitter against Cleveland back in September of 1988. There's a few two-hitters. Never had a no-hitter. Now Jeter will sit down. 7 strikeouts.
Well, that's the 4th time he's got a hitter on a split finger pitch. That's a splitter to Raines. Then he froze Bernie Williams with a gas. Splitter to Duncan. Got Girardi on a split finger pitch. Bernie Williams, he's beaten him twice with fastballs, and then he throws a fastball past a great fastball hitter, Paul O'Neill.
So 2 down, bases clear for Mariano Duncan. 7 Ks here through 4 2/3 for the Rocket Man. He could take a line score like this.
Walks were back-to-back in the second, leading off the inning. And again, we go back to that one pitch, the 3-1 pitch to Jeter, where he got the double play ball, and it's been smooth sailing ever since for the Rocket Man.
Count is 0-2 to Duncan.
Well, we mentioned earlier that this is the ballpark Tom Seaver got his 300th win. That was just a little more galling for Met fans that Tom Seaver, then pitching with the White Sox, got his 300th at Yankee Stadium, and Clemens on his way to his 200th tonight.
Go. Santiago tried to frame it. Clemens thought he might have had it. Kaiser thought about it, didn't he?
Yeah, watch the turn by Kaiser. He's going to start, make that turn. Not quite.
1-2 pitch. Strikeout number 8 for Roger Clemens. We've played 5. 4-0 Jays. Headed to the top of the 6th. The Roger Clemens and the Blue Jays in command, 4-0 over the Yankees. And you pointed it out at the time, Dave, as Benito Santiago will lead off. Grounded to third, grounded to second. But after the 4-run inning, good pitchers hang a goose egg up on the board. Well, what has Clemens done after the 4-run third inning? 9 up, 9 down. Enough said.
Yeah, five of the 9 are punch outs too.
Here's a rip through the left side for a base hit. So Santiago is aboard with the 8th Blue Jay hit. And you're right. Boggs has doubled down the line, no question. But what if? What if?
Well, it was a line drive, but it was only fair by about a foot. The other ball, that blistering shot Cecil hit to left field, but I also have a feeling if Clemens had the no-hitter going, he wouldn't have been challenging Cecil. He would have dropped the splitter on him.
Alex Gonzalez up. You know, except for early on this year when the Yankees had that 5-game losing streak in the second week of the season, or third, early on, they were 5-10. That losing streak ended on the last loss was the 17th of April. Since then, until last night, they had not lost 2 in a row. Over a month. But now they're in danger of losing 3 straight. Boggs, Duncan, Martinez. Gonzalez is doubled up. Let's send it around our own horn. The Linda Cohn.
Chris, we're going to Houston for the Reds action. Jeff Bagwell sharing some space with Larry Walker, because now Bagwell also has 44 RBIs, courtesy of this 2-run shot, a league-leading 15th homer. But you know what? The Reds had an answer. Reggie Sanders, boy, do they need him to hit, don't they? Number 6 for him. So we're tied at 2, and we're in the 5th, guys.
All right, Linda, Jeff Brown, paper Bagwell with number 15. Hey, Ray get a 3-game bump, huh? Ray Knight, our ex-compatriot.
Well, I would figure on a night that Roger Clemens is pitching well, Jeff Bagwell would also homer just to drive another dagger in the Red Sox fans.
Right, of course, Brady Anderson has played so far.
Yeah. 50 homers last year.
Hey, there are a few ex-Sox around.
Doing
some guy playing
well.
third base here for the Yankees. Yeah, it's a rough night for the Boston sports fans. Let's face it. Red Sox getting pounded. Clemens looking outstanding.
Had the favorable ping pong balls in the lottery, but instead of getting the first pick, they in third the Celtics. Figure they might trade away all their players just to move it up. Popeye.
Speaking of ex-Sox,
78.
Hey, don't bring it up, please.
Mike Torres.
Don't bring it up. Just stop. Brito will sit. Girardi, Raines, and Boggs will try their hand against Roger Clemens as we head to the 6th. Well, tonight for the Rocket Man, Elton John along with Bernie Taupin with you here on Wednesday Night Baseball. I have my Rocket Man tie. And hey, as advertised tonight, Dave.
I brought 2 ties, but I saw yours. I went with the sedate one.
But Roger Clemens has made the Yankees hitters sedate. Just to double the Boggs in the first. 8 strikeouts through 5 innings for Roger Clemens. He'll face Joe Girardi, who struck out in the third, Tim Raines, and Wade Boggs. Clemens with 2 games this year already with 10+ strikeouts, one with 10, one with 14. That gives him 70 games in which he has struck out 10 or more. It's another pretty good list, which we're going to get to you here in a minute. That's ripped but foul. So only 4 guys have ever posted a number higher than that. Of course, Nolan Ryan at 215 is pretty much untouchable. Sandy Koufax 97, Steve Carlton 83, sudden Sam McDowell 74 times, Bob Gibson 72. So 5 guys more than Roger, who at 70 this year, 72 this year to make it 70, has tied Tom Seaver and Rube Waddle for 6th spot. Randy Johnson, by the way, is 69. But really, conceivably, he can move right past tonight. Could be 71. Ryan, Koufax, Carlton, McDowell. There's some heat in that group. Gibson.
Well, you're looking at yet another Hall of Famer. He and Greg Maddux, certainly of the current vintage. Wow. Kaiser rings him up. Might have gotten a little wide strike zone on that one on the inside.
Strikeout number 9 for Clemens.
Well, pitch might have been a little closer. Santiago kind of flinched. Roger says yes.
So that'll bring up Tim Raines. Check swing. High gas.
Saw you talking to Rock before the game tonight. What do you have to say?
Well, we talked as the season started. He says, you know, I've been around a long time. At that moment, Strawberry was left field. He said, I'm going to keep my mouth shut. It's a long season, first of all. You never know what's going to happen. I'm going to be ready when I get my chance. Well, he became the full-time left fielder, what, April 26th? We're playing about 670 baseball with him in left field.
He's entrenched in that leadoff spot right now.
He just said, I just have seen things. I don't wish ill on anybody, but I'm going to be ready. Of course, the trade talks, always mentioning his name. They don't need him. Well, with Strawberry now a big question mark, they need him badly.
I think the last time Clemens threw a ball was to Fielder back in the 5th. He's just a strike machine right now.
Well, again, 10 straight outs since the Jays got him 4 runs in the 3rd. No, he did not go around, says Tim Welke at 3rd.
No fair when you're throwing 95, 96, and maybe higher tonight. He's got a great fastball tonight, plus that dive bomb splitter.
Joe Torre a little under the weather this evening, and Roger Clemens not exactly making him feel better. Joe says eating a pretzel is like his ears explode. We all know that feeling when you get the throat and ear thing going. And well, Raines is gone, and make it 10+ strikeouts for Clemens 71 times now in his career. He's K'd 6 of the last 8 batters.
Well, he's been an equal opportunity guy. 5 strikeouts on the splitter. This is his 5th on the splitter and 5 on the fastball. Roger going. Yeah, he went. And I think just wanted to make sure Santiago held on to it. He is a machine tonight.
Yes, sir. Well, we came to coronate him a little bit. I think he's doing it himself. He doesn't need our help. This is Wade Boggs, who was the only hitter tonight, a ground rule double in the 1st inning. Also grounded a short. I'm quickly thumbing through the media guide here because outside of the 220 strikeout games, of course, I'm going to see what his next. Oh, there's a 16 and a 15 in 88. This is fouled off the left side, and here it is. I mean, you're right, Dave. Were it not for this, where would we be now?
That patented inside-out stroke. It was fair by about 6 inches or so. Hopped into the stands, and the only other ball that's really been scorched is the ball fielder lined out to Brumfield.
Pair of 16s in 88, a 15 in 88. This is 90th pitch. His pitch count a little higher than most others.
Yeah, we're in the 6th, but actually he's become a lot more efficient in the last 3 innings. Probably like to be through 7 with 90 pitches, but if he can get Boggs here, he's still going to be in good shape. A lot of pitchers, 90 pitches, they hit the wall. Rockets just getting tuned up a little more.
The wall? I don't think he hits it at 90. Quote the Rocket Man song. 90 pitches. He's just going to be high as a kite by then. He's getting that pitch on the outside corner, is he not?
He is. He saw Boggs take the fastball and go inside out. So last couple times up, he's been keeping the ball away from Wade. Tailing fastball. Santiago framed it nicely. It was a strike anyway.
Boggs will draw the base on balls, so Boggsy's been aboard 2 or 3 times. Our Monday doubleheader is the first meeting of the year between the Orioles and the Yankees, and that'll certainly be exciting here at Yankee Stadium. That's at 1 o'clock Eastern time, and then I'll be off to the Windy City to watch the White Sox warming up there with Thomas and Bell back-to-back against Matt Williams and the Tribe. That'll be our second game. Get a chance to work with Joe McGreen on that one. So the Orioles and Yankees, followed by the Indians and the White Sox on Memorial Day. I know it's a big day for family and get-togethers and parties, but first of all, put another shrimp on the Barbie for us and join us a little bit. Bernie Williams has struck out twice against Cheese, and he tried to time that one and fouled it back.
All the Yankees in the lineup tonight against Clemens. Bernie Williams has the only home run against Rogers. Right now, he's been overmatched by the fastball tonight. Bernie, career-wise, a much better hitter from the right side, but this year hitting 65 points higher batting left-handed, although the right side is still his big power side.
Four 0 Toronto. 3-run homer by Ed Sprague in the 3rd inning. Well, you're going to hit the corner with that speed. Oh, boy.
Drops the splitter on him.
Oh.
Dive bombing. Can't hit it. Even the hitter in baseball that can hit that pitch if you're geared up for the fastball. It's the thing. He can locate that thing. He can make it go down and away from the left-handed batters. He can make it go down and away from the right-handed batters. Time was called. Go back to first base. Wade. Kaiser had called time, but Clemens didn't see it until he saw Santiago standing up. See time called. Roger didn't really see that right till the last second, so he just flips one to the backstop.
I think you really hurt yourself on that. It was like a wiffle ball pitch, as it turned out, wasn't it?
About the only one they could have hit tonight.
Struck out the side. 11 strikeouts for Clemens. We've played 6. The Rocket Man in full flight, and the Jays lead at 4-0.
ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball is brought to you by Olympic Stain. Get everything you need to protect and beautify your deck from Olympic, America's #1 selling exterior stain.
Well, no exterior stain there as we lead off the 7th inning. 1 pitch, 1 out. Carlos Garcia, fly ball to right. 1 down. That'll bring up Otis Nixon. I think he been perfectly clear that he's troublesome on the base pass.
Cody got that 2-out walk back in the third. And then that was followed by a single, a base hit by Carter, then the 3-run jack by Sprague, and that's been the scoring in the game. I hate to bring up the oldest axiom in baseball that good pitching will stop good hitting, but Pat Hinkin shuts him out on 5 hits last night, hottest hitting team in the American League, and Roger Clemens, 11 strikeouts, 1 hit tonight.
I think the Yankees are sold on Toronto's 1-2 punch on the mound, don't you think?
I would think.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with Cone, Pettit, Wells on their side of the ledger either, but Hinkin and Clemens, as you mentioned, have made their case. 6 hits, no runs allowed in 15 innings here at the Bronx.
Just saw Cone and Pettit. The Yankees have a very unique situation. They have 5 pitchers, their starters, who have all led their team in victories at least 1 year. Pettit with the Yankees, Cone twice with the Mets, Doc Gooden 4 times with the Mets, David Wells his year with Detroit, and Kenny Rogers 3 times with Texas.
Pulling the string is Rogers as Nixon will sit down. Let's go over to Linda.
Chris, the A's, losers of 11 of their last 13 games, off to a great start in Arlington. Geronimo Barroa, responsible opposite way, shot his 8th homer of the year off of Julio Santana, yet Barroa was driven in 2 of the 4 Oakland runs.
Santana's pitched pretty well as a couple of starts for the Texas Rangers, who, you know, Seattle gets all the pub, but it's the Rangers that lead the West right now, despite the fact that they are trailing to the Oakland A's, who certainly can hit the ball out. This is Orlando Merced with 2 outs against Kenny Rogers.
Well, we talked bullpen, and of course that's why the Yankees beat Texas in that division series last year, because the Rangers 3 times had leads and their bullpen couldn't hold it, so they went out and got John Wetland.
Talk about a pitch that got away. That was...
Well, first of all, it was a curveball, so it was not really intentional.
No.
Kenny Rogers just watch the spin on this. It's just a curveball that totally slips. You can see the arc on it. And Orlando said, mercy.
But that was Roy Orbison. Mercy.
Not supposed to do that. Throw a curveball over somebody's head and then paint up the outside corner.
Brian Boehringer back up in the bullpen for the Yankees.
Well, with Carter and Sprague due the next 2, I think if Merced were to get in scoring position or on, Torrey might go to the change right there. He knows he can ill afford to give up any more.
That'll be out of play. The Jays have a day off when they go home to start a homestand against California. 3, Texas 2. The Yankees a pair before they go out west.
Well, the way the schedule works out, the Yankees going up to Toronto will not have to face Hinkin and Clemens next week in that 2-game series.
Well, they've already paid for it.
Yeah, Hinkin would pitch on Sunday, and Clemens, unless the Jays have an off day Monday,
No.
they would miss Clemens and Hinkin, so that would be good news for Yankee fans and the Yankee hitters.
Two-two pitch on the way to Orlando Merced. Misses a little bit low and away. Fly ball, Jeter out, Raines in. Timmy Raines will make the call and make the catch. So the Jays are gone, heading to the 7th inning stretch. 9 outs away from win. It has been Roger Clemens thus far, just giving up a double in the 1st inning to Wade Boggs. 11 strikeouts, including the side the last inning. The Martinez O'Neill infielder against the Rocket Man, and he's one of just a few still pitching that has had a season under 2 for an ERA. And thus far, he has another season going under 2 with an ERA. The Rocket doing it in 1990. Doc, a couple for Greg Maddux and Kevin Brown last year. He's won 4 ERA titles in his career. There's Doc. Did an 85. Boy, you remember, as 11 years ago, All-Star game in Houston, Rogers' hometown. Doc Gooden against Roger Clemens. Fly ball to left field, but Brumfield is in left field and makes the play. There's one out, but the big news is a fly ball to the outfield. But boy, Clemens was so hepped up. I was at that All-Star game, Dave. I don't know if you were, but he against Gooden, the youngsters, the overpowering pitchers. Doc coming off the 85 and a good first half in 86, where they would face off in the World Series, the two teams. And Clemens was the MVP at the win in his hometown. That was his season, 1986.
Started out 14-0. He had an unbelievable year.
Paul O'Neill waves at that one, strike one.
Trying to think MVPs in your hometown. Obviously, Mike Piazza last year in Philadelphia. I know that was a thrill for him.
You know, that's missed in the fact that Clemens such a power pitcher. Back to the ERA thing. He won the ERA title in that 24-4 1986 season. 2.48. You saw the 1.93 in 90. 91, 2.62 was the ERA title. In 92, 2.41. So he won 3 straight in there, 90, 91, 92. Not many have done that.
Emergency stands time for Paul O'Neill. Clemens continues to make quality pitches with great stuff. Lay off that one.
You know, and Clemens had that 1.93 ERA. That was the first in the American League in 12 years since Gator. Ron Guidry had that tremendous 78 season.
Last time two teammates finished 1-2 in the ERA title, he and Tommy John that year. And last year it was Guzman and Henkin with Toronto.
There's this one, unlike Boggs's, does not.
Left that one up through a splitter, and it didn't do an awful lot. And then O'Neill, good piece of hitting, taking it the other way. Paul's looking at his bat to see if maybe he cracked it.
You know what you would think? You know, the Red Sox haven't been in the postseason. Well, they're in the postseason many times with Clemens, but he only has 1 postseason win. But that's not to say that he pitched poorly. You look it up. His win was Game 7 of the 1986 ALCS, in which the Red Sox fought back from 3-1 down to California. He won Game 7 at Fenway in a raucous Fenway Park. A great comeback series. Baylor, Henderson, the heroes. And Game 5 descended back. O'Neill will foul it back, but he was bombed in Game 1 and left Game 4 with a lead, only to see them lose it. In the series, a couple of no decisions. Pitched 2 and, of course, had the lead in that ill-fated Game 6 at Shea Stadium on that Saturday night.
Wade remembers.
We remember.
He finally got his ring last year. Wade Boggs with the Yankees. That's the one thing that's eluded Roger.
Then, of course, came the Red Sox trouble.
Look at Kaiser. The second time tonight, the mask has gone fly. Ken's gone.
Oh, man. That picture's worth a few words. Oh.
Just think, Kenny, if you didn't have it on. Kaiser's probably giving Benito the what for, saying, catch that thing. Good thing he's a former pro wrestler. He's got a strong neck. Snap a lesser guy's head back.
That's not the first time that's happened to Kenny or any of the umps. Doesn't make it feel any better, that's for sure. That'll be a 3 Advil post game. Snared at third by Tilson Brito.
I'll tell you, though, that's the best at bat of the night by any Yankee hitter. O'Neill got down 0-2, and he just hung with him, hit a bullet, and Brito made an excellent play. Roger threw him just about everything in the book. Takes a low and away fastball, and Brito great off the mark. Ooh, always good to have a little good D behind you.
Shot, guys.
Again, the Jays have committed the fewest errors in the major leagues. So good pitching and good defense.
Cecil Fielder has actually had 2 interesting at-bats against Roger tonight. Fouled off many a pitch to work a walk in the second, and then really timed a heater pretty well in sending Brumfield back to about the edge of the track for a fly ball out to lead off the 5th. The big news is that no strikeouts yet.
Yeah, Roger's not going to throw Cecil any more fastballs on fastball counts. That was a 1-ball, no-strike fastball count. And Clemens shook off Santiago and said, no. He had too good of swings last time.
110th pitch coming up for Clemens. Cecil fists it, and you can take that .024 and file it away. Base hit by Fielder.
Well, it doesn't look like Rogers losing anything, but he is over the 100-pitch mark, and he has not struck out a hitter this inning so far. He thought maybe he could slip the fastball by him 1-1 after he'd established the splitter, 1 ball, no strikes, but Cecil cracked his bat. Cecil probably feels he's even for the night with that rocket he hit to left, and then breaks his bat and fists one to right. Pretty good location, up and in, but not in far enough.
Boggs and Fielder, the only 2 to reach with base hits tonight. That'll bring up Derek Jeter. 4-0. Toronto leads it. That one fouled off the facade. Not the facade, a facade. The facade, of course, is what's ringing from left to right in fair territory. The old facade, of course, hung over from the top of the lights way down around toward the foul pole. That's facade like that. Mickey Mantle used to go up to that territory in right field.
Split City.
Yep.
Nasty. You can imagine how dominant his fastball was in '86 when he didn't have that split finger pitch and still struck out 20 guys on the Mariners. Tell you what, again, just a reminder, he's doing this against the top hitting team in the American League.
Snaps him back with a fastball inside it. You know what he's thinking now? I mean, he's got a runner on and he's bearing down, but you know he wants to go the route. Dave.
Oh, yeah. He's got to get a little more efficient. He's moving on 110 pitches, so if he can get this out and cruise in the 8th, he'll be in decent shape. But they'll keep an eye on the pitch count.
Jeter makes him work again. Count will remain at 1-2.
That's one thing the Yankees did last year. One of the little subtle things they did in that World Series against the Atlanta Braves. I mean, the Atlanta Brave guys like Glavine and Smoltz and especially Maddox pride themselves on the low pitch count because the Yankees were able to foul off a lot of pitches because they all have such discerning eyes. They were second in the league in walks. They were able to get into that middle relief of the Braves, which was their Achilles heel last year, especially in Game 6. And that's more than anything else, maybe why the Yankees won that series.
Well, you weren't going to have an inning without a strikeout, were you? Jeter is gone. 12 strikeouts for the Rocket Man. 6 outs away.
So he has had both of those pitches exploding tonight. Oh, I haven't seen him throw a slider all night.
He can do it, backdoor slider, but you're right. He's got the splitter working like that in the heater. Why not? This is Brian Boehringer, who now will pick up Kenny Rogers after 7 innings of work from Rogers. He gave up just the 4 runs in the 4th inning, 3 courtesy of Ed Sprague's 8th home run. Joe Carter lost 1 to right. Paul O'Neill is there. And there is 1 out.
Carlos Delgado is going to come out and pinch hit for Ed Sprague in that DH role tonight, with the Yankees going to the right-hander.
Well, Delgado is one of the few guys that can supply some power. And with the lefty going tonight, a lot often, not all the time, but often Cito will sit Delgado. But he has some power. Of course, some of his home runs are of the third deck variety or the Hard Rock Cafe facade at Skydome.
He had that tremendous start a couple of years ago where he hit 8 in April, and then all of a sudden pitchers started throwing curveballs in the dirt, and he did not lay off them, but he started to make the adjustment. He's become a much better hitter.
One thing about Carlos, I mean, he's too young to remember. We joked about it before the game. After he had those moon shots, we had a Baseball Tonight. We had a contest for the best nicknames for Delgado, and I sifted through. There were like 125 different suggestions. And we call him Carlos and Delgado de Vida. Now, he has no idea who Iron Butterfly was, but
either do I, so
well,
we got something in common.
Talk about one of the great all-time rock and roll songs with 19 minutes long.
Longer than American Pie?
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, yes.
Yeah.
It's the whole side of an album.
American Pie, about 12 minutes?
Yeah, about 10 and a half. But that was, American Pie was longer than MacArthur Park.
Don McLean, I remember that.
Well, from our old DJ days, now I was not a DJ on an FM type station to play Inagata DeVita, but MacArthur Park and American Pie and Taxi, you could finally get a chance to go to the bathroom if you put one of those songs on. Those were key songs to have.
Or was that at Brown University?
Yeah, Brown, and then my first year in WERI in Westerly, Rhode Island, 77 and 78, spinning the tunes for Musquamacut Beach. Head back up to Rhode Island this weekend. 20-year college reunion with Brown. Get to feel old and wonderful. I know, I won't say anything.
You'll be limping.
Yeah, I'll be limping, all right. For many reasons.
Probably all that money you're going to carry.
Yeah, please. That I made for my days as a disc jockey in Western.
Right.
I'm going to bring albums of Inagata DeVita up there, man. That's about the right speed. Ground ball, Duncan. Good range. Over to Tino Martinez, and Delgado is gone. Inagata DeVita, Linda Cohn.
Chris, you forgot about Alice's Restaurant, but that's another story. Meanwhile, Mets, Greg McMichael on to protect a 2-1 lead with Mark Clark sweating in the dugout, but McMichael finally gets the job done, striking out Jeff Conine. Clark 5-2, and the Marlins win streak ends at 8.
The Mets now, Linda, playing the tough teams tough, although they lost the one last night when Franco was touched for 2 runs.
No, it's a big comeback for Greg McMichael. He had struggled 3 straight outings. He's a good guy, and you like to see those guys succeed. Marlins win streak finally halted.
Thank you, Linda, for reminding me about Arlo Guthrie with Alice's Restaurant. Well, there are many other long songs, but any Harry Chapin song would pretty much fit. Tennis 1-1 now to Jacob Brumfield. Brumfield is 0 for 3 tonight. Looking ahead to the 8th, Duncan, Girardi, and Raines to face Roger Clemens. The bottom of the 8th, I should say. As you look at scores, so I'm around the bigs. Well, that double steal holding up thus far for the Tribe. Red Sox trying to make a comeback, but not on Rocket night. Doesn't look like it. Erickson 8-1. Boy, that big 3 for the Orioles, huh, Dave?
Yeah, I'll tell you, games they've started something like 22-2 this year.
Well, think about the guys that have gotten to the good starts. I mean, we're watching Roger perhaps go to 8-0. Jimmy Key 8-0. Bobby Witt, who we saw pitch last Wednesday night, 7-0. Denny Nagel 7-0. Pedro Martinez 7-0. Erickson 8-1. You know, all this year of long ball and RBI records, etc. We've got more than 1 or 2 pitchers off to tremendous starts. The season's had a little bit of everything.
Well, that's the one thing that general managers around baseball are constantly trying to do is upgrade their pitching. But quite frankly, there's only so many guys that are good. And there's a lot of guys in that run-of-the-mill mode that switch uniforms quite often.
Ripped up the middle off Bollringer. Actually, started like it was ripped, maybe a partial broken back. And a base hit for Brumfield, so he's aboard with 2 outs. That'll bring up Santiago.
Well, again, the Yankees are finally in a stretch where they're playing teams in their own division. This is their first of the year last night when they played the Jays, and they're in a 16-game stretch where they play Toronto, Boston, and the Orioles. Wonder if they'll dominate in Camden. I'm sure the Orioles got something to say about that. Last year, New York was 9-0 in Camden Yards, including postseason.
Yeah, there was a series in late July that really distanced things. Then the Orioles made a run in that memorable 3-game series here in the last couple weeks of the season. Of course, the ALCS. Here goes Brumfield. Girardi's throw gone. Running with the 4-0 lead, eh? Rocket. A 2-hit, 12 strikeout performance this far for Roger Clemens, providing some heavy fuel. Speaking of which, as we steamroll toward the Indy 500, doesn't get much better than the carburation and pit stop competition. That'll be tomorrow at 3:30 on ESPN. Then Saturday, our Indy 500 preview before the green flag drops. That's at 4:30 p.m. Saturday. Then Sunday, the 81st Indianapolis 500 on ABC. 11 a.m. Mary Lewandijk, pole sitter, will lead the field in their 200-lap quest around the famed 2.5-mile oval at the Brickyard. Third base hit of the night for the Yankees as Mariano Duncan leads off with the first pitch single off Roger Clemens. You know, I said running with a 4-0 lead. I really wasn't critical. Just kind of opened my eyes up. And 4 runs can disappear in a hurry, even with Roger Clemens. So that's not a critical Aceto. 4-0 is not 9-0.
No, you got to take advantage. They didn't want to run much on Kenny Rogers because of the great move, and he showed why picking a guy off. But against the right-hander, they're going to try to utilize what they have with speed. They don't hit much. They got to try to run guys in the scoring position.
Joe Girardi up. He has struck out both times and fouls this one. Did that get Kenny's mask again?
I don't know. He's adjusting it. Didn't knock it off anyway.
Attendance tonight of under
Yeah,
20,000, huh? 19,863 as we look at that. Kenny saying, come on now, Penny.
Well, I know George Steinbrenner wants to move this club into a new ballpark, and he just, you know, when Ken Griffey Jr. and the Seattle Mariners, one of the most exciting teams in baseball, were in here about 3 weeks ago, 20, 22, 25,000 for a 3-game set. Roger Clemens going for 200.
Yeah, with the Rangers not playing.
Yeah, can't even get 20,000 in the house tonight.
Yeah, disappointing. Those that are here know their ball. There's no question about that. Although many, when he struck out the side, many hit it for the exits after 6. Rogers laboring a little bit now. Kind of 1-1 to Girardi. But yeah, 20,000 last night and just under 20 tonight.
Well, for a club that defending world champions and, you know, certainly competing very well this year. Clemens started the inning with 115 pitches, and Mel Queen's on the phone to the bullpen.
Little chopper that he charged by Brito, not in time. Girardi with among catchers. About as good a wheels as you'll see. Here's to Santiago, is opposite here tonight, beats it out. And they're 2 on here in the 8th with none down.
Kind of recall in that 6-0 game last year in the World Series, Game 4, with Denny Nagels just cruising along. A little dribbler by Charlie Hayes, just like this down the third baseline, got the Yankees going. And we mentioned that great pitchers usually face 2 situations in a game where they have to get some people out. Roger Clemens did it back in the 3rd. He's facing another here in the 8th.
A double barrel action now in the bullpen. Dan Plesac, the lefty. Tim Crabtree, the righty. As Timmy Raines will step up, struck out twice and grounded at second base. Boggs on deck, who has been aboard 2 of the 3 times tonight. He's come to the plate. Slow chopper. Garcia has to wait, and they'll just get 1. They'll get the middleman. Now runners at the corners with 1 out.
Well, that's a good play by Carlos Garcia because it keeps the double play in order.
Well, if you're just tuning in, perhaps a milestone coming. Clemens now trying to wriggle free with this jam. Try to get win number 200. He has been in command tonight.
Well, again, Garcia knew he could only get 1 out, but by throwing the ball to second, Boggs a slow man. If they can get a ground ball at somebody, they can turn the double play and keep the shutout intact.
Boggs a double and a walk. And a ground out to short. Strike one.
Well, nothing unusual for Boggs. He takes the first pitch over 90% of the time. Fastball doesn't look like it's got quite as much juice right now.
Crowd, those that are left, wouldn't mind seeing a little history, but they prefer a Yankee win. Oh, the double pivot and nothing doing on the base pass.
We have Timmy Raines, fourth on the all-time stolen base list. Clemens thought maybe he might catch him. Raines was not going anywhere, down 4.
Here's the slow chopper you talked about, but Garcia not getting a chance to turn the 2, and the Yankees have busted at least this shutout.
Well, sometimes luck plays a big factor. Duncan gets a hit. Girardi hits the ball too slowly for Brito to make a play a hit. The last 2 balls, ground balls, but hit way too slowly to turn double play, so the Yankees get on the board. Clemens gets the ground balls, but he made such good pitches, they didn't get good enough wood to turn double plays.
So the shutout part of what could be a huge celebration for Clemens is gone. Bernie Williams has struck out 3 times. The golden sombrero.
He's got the silver.
Right, the silver, the golden is 4, and the platinum is 5.
Yeah. Not too many guys in that platinum one, but there's a few. I never had the chance. I had a silver one time, and it was walking towards the plate and got hooked for a pinch hitter. Thank goodness. Like Louis Tiant was pitching, I had no chance.
125th pitch of the night by Clemens. Williams fouls this one off. The overhang. And Roger has struck out somebody in every inning, although he only got Jeter is the only strikeout to end the 7th. So this could be, if Williams makes an out other than strikeout, but the first time that Clemens would not strike out a batter in an inning. He has 12.
Well, if Bernie reaches decision time for Cito, Clemens pitch count up. Tino Martinez and O'Neill, a couple of left-handed batters with Plesac warming.
You think about it, though, Dave. This is 9th start of the year. Foul tip back into the gloves as Ken Kaiser. That'll go for a strike 1 and 2. 9th start of the year. He's had a 14 strikeout. Strike 2, I mistake. He's got a 14, a 12 tonight, a 10, and a 9 this season.
Let's see. In your words, he's good.
Yes, this just in. He's good. Another chopper. Clemens kind of just tossed it like a rosin bag over to first base. But the Rocket Man, the shutout is gone, but 3 outs away from a bit of history here. Top of the 9th. And Benito Santiago leads it off against Brian Boehringer, his 2nd inning of relief against Kenny Rogers. Martinez, O'Neill, and Fielder due up in the bottom of the 9th of now a 4-1 game. Do you let Clemens come out to pitch tonight, Dave Campbell?
Well, it's a long season. He's near 130 pitches. My first inclination would be to say no, but I think in this situation, Cito may talk to Roger, ask him how he feels, and may defer to the Rocket in this situation. I mean, Roger knows his body well enough and his arm to know if he still feels like he's got something left. But, you know, if you keep throwing 140, 150 pitches a game, it's going to catch up with you over the course of a year. So we'll just have to wait and see what that decision is.
Well, that looked like it was going to be a ball, but now 3-1 to Benito Santiago.
Jay's got all 4 with 2 outs and nobody on back in that 3rd inning.
RBI single by Carter and a 3-run. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, Kenny Kaiser is just. When is this night going to end?
Look at Zippy.
Zim felt like it's as if he felt that pain.
Kenny's going, yeah, I got a chance to umpire possibly Roger Clemens' 200th victory.
Oh, that was underneath, too. And he hasn't enjoyed it at all, has he?
How many Advil now? What's he up to? 5?
Well, that's a different thing under there. Now we may be getting into the throat lozenges. After starting Santiago off 3-0, Boehringer strikes out Santiago. 1 out here in the 9th. Our Sherwin-Williams pitching summary. Sherwin-Williams painting wallpaper scores. What more do you need to see than the top line? 12 Ks, 4 hits, just 1 run allowed through 8 by the Rocket Man. Except for that 4-run 3rd inning, Rogers was okay. But he ran into a buzzsaw. He and the Yankees certainly did tonight. And the Yankees have, what, 1 run and 9 hits in 17 innings against Henkin and Clemens.
Everything he did tonight so far was impressive, but the 2 jams he got in, he made quality pitches when he had to. He had 1st and 2nd, nobody out in the 3rd, 1st and 2nd, nobody out in the 8th. And only because the Yankees hit the ball so weakly does he not have the shutout intact. I guess Boehringer likes to go 3-0
Yeah,
to give the hitters a chance.
That's a new plan. 3-0 to Alex Gonzalez. With Clemens, you figure, well, how's he done through the years? One thing we didn't get into his lifetime at Yankee Stadium. He would stand up as marked 10-3 at this guy. Although oddly enough, he had didn't beat the Yankees last year. So as far as Joe Torre is concerned, hey, he did anything against my club, although he certainly has tonight.
Here comes Boehringer back again. He was 3-0 on Santiago, 3-0 on Gonzalez. We keep hearing about Derek Jeter, the brilliant young shortstop of the Yankees. Toronto thinks this kid, Alex Gonzalez, got the tools to become a great player as well. He's already there defensively, and they expect him to get better with the bat.
Well, you're right. Same thing. Gonzalez and Santiago, 3-0 to a strikeout. Andy Pettit scheduled to go for win number 7 on the Sunday night. Our Sunday night game of the week with John and Joe. Mo Vaughn and the Red Sox continue their road odyssey, and it's been just that for them. As they come in here on our Sunday night game, one of the best rivalries in all of baseball, the Red Sox and Yankees. Andy Pettit to go for New York.
Let's see now. If the game plan was 3-0 to the first 2 hitters, and he starts off, maybe he's going to throw strike 2 to Brito and then walk him.
4 pitches for a ball, for a base on balls.
Tilson liked that idea.
Yeah.
He stepped out and said, I'll go for that.
Dan Plesac.
Well, you got to believe if he's throwing with 2 left-handed batters starting off the Yankee ninth, that he's probably going to start the inning. But again, we'll wait.
Rogers gone into the clubhouse after each inning, so the fact that he's not on the bench right now is not an indication at this point of what Cito is going to do. Now it's 3-1. Well, he's going to 3 balls on all the batters. Let's think of it that way. Fly ball to right. O'Neill is there. So 3 outs away for win number 200 for Roger Clemens. Will it be he to take the hill, or will it be
ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball is brought to you by Cooper Tires, Drive On, and by Coors Light, proud partner of the John Wayne Cancer Institute. To join in the fight against cancer, call 1-888-700-DUPE.
Bottom of the 9th here at Yankee Stadium. Chris Berman and Dave Campbell along with you, and Cito Gaston has made his decision. The shutout gone. The pitch count 127. 2 lefties up, and it's going to be Dan Plesac and not Roger Clemens.
Well, again, I think Cito probably talked to Roger, but Again, this is a long season. We're in May. Toronto is thinking about the long run, and you don't want to have Roger. If he gets in some trouble this inning, he could be up around 100, 145. Might be able to finish tonight, but it takes its toll over the course of a year. I think the right decision.
I know that, anytime a reliever comes in with a lead, Dave, that it's going to be, it's a nerve-wracking situation. That's what they're paid to do. But I know there's a 3-run lead. Any extra pressure
I
on
think
Plesac at this stage, that knowing that he could blow 200th win by Clemens?
Yeah, I mean, I think, of course there is, but, Dan Plesac's a veteran pitcher. I mean, he's got a lot of saves in his career when he was over with the Milwaukee Brewers. I mean, he may be better equipped to handle it than anybody in that Jays pen right now.
Martinez, O'Neill, and Fielder. Trying to nail it down for Roger Clemens, who tonight, now that we've hit the 9th inning, has packed his bags pre-flight. And I guess he will hit 0 hour 9 a.m. and be going home tomorrow to see his wife Debbie and his 4 kids for 10-9, 2-1.
Pretty easy when you can fly in a rocket, right?
Yes, get there real quick. Ground ball to second base. Garcia to Carter. 1 down. And don't forget the Mariners. Junior with 20 dingers, 55 ribbies, and the Angels, they're coming up next from the Big A. But a little bit of the feel here for Roger Clemens. 2 outs away. And, you could have the debate. Who would you pick for 1 game? I know the brilliance of Greg Maddux certainly in the last 4 or 5 years, but I don't know. I'd take my chances with Roger Clemens on the mound. Obviously, the Roger Clemens we saw tonight, I'd give him to me any day of the week.
Well, the thing about Roger the last 4 years has been that he hasn't been healthy all the time, but this year he's 100% healthy. You watch the kind of stuff he exhibited tonight, it would be tough not to pitch him. You talk about power blended with a great split finger pitch. 12 strikeouts, 7 on the split, 5 on the fastball, and again against a great hitting team.
Is there room for Brito? Plenty of it. 2 outs. So O'Neill is gone, and we're down to 1 out in the person of Cecil Fielder. Although it looks like we against the what we got going on.
Cito's going to bring the right-hander in. He's not going to take any chances here. So Plesac came in and did his job, and
sure did.
With right-handers scheduled, fielders Jeter and Duncan. He's going to the righty.
1 out from his. Well, the move has been made. As you described, Dave, Plesac got the 2 outs, and now against the righty Cecil Fielder will be Mike Timlin to try and close it out. 2 teams trying to up their marks to 3-1 in the respective conference finals for the Stanley Cup playoffs. Can the Red Wings do it tomorrow night against the defending Stanley Cup champion Avalanche? That'll be 7:30 Thursday, then 7:30 Friday. The Flyers at Madison Square Garden against the Rangers. Wild game last night, and the hockey continues here at 7:30 Thursday and 7:30 on Friday. And they're lined up. Watching Mike Timlin warm up. Timlin is not now officially the closer, although he is. He's a horse with no name, essentially, Dave.
Well, Tim Crabtree's also been getting a chance or 2. Plesac certainly capable, but they'd like to give the job to Timlin. But I think it's one of those things where Cito feels he has to keep pressure on Timlin all the time. Everybody reacts differently, but when he's handed the job to Mike in the past, sometimes he hasn't quite been as dominant. So I think Cito feels keep the pressure on Timlin. He pitches better that way. Everybody reacts differently.
And talking with some of the Jays pitchers before, specifically Pat Henkin, he says, we've had some pretty big-time pitchers come through here in the years. Not only was Jimmy Key once upon a time a Jay, but you're talking about Jack Morris and David Cone and certainly Dave Stewart. But he said, of all of them, and I'm no slight to a Stewart or a Morris or whatever, the work ethic, Clemens has opened my eyes up the most.
Well, the way Roger has pitched early this year, it would be hard not to, but that's high praise indeed, because Pat Henkin, 39 consecutive innings without allowing an earned run. He hasn't been too shabby himself.
The Cecil Fielder, who's had 3 strong at-bats against Clemens, a walk, A fly ball roped to left and a single to right. Now will try his hand against Mike Timlin. 1 out away is the Rocket Man from becoming the 93rd man ever to win 200 games. Closing in on his 2,700th strikeout. He would like to become the 11th guy to get to 3,000 in that department. He also would like another crack at the World Series. Who knows if that'll come this year with the Orioles and Yankees in the division, but you never know. They've come in and just shackled the Yankee hitters, he and Henke.
Well, they have, and you know, if they can get Guzman and Eric Hansen back, and this offense can get going just a little bit, don't count Toronto out of this. When you got 2 stoppers like that, you never know. Full Jarrett going just in case Joe Torre decides to make some maneuvers along the way this inning.
0-2 pitch. Cecil fouls it off. Will do it again.
He didn't just bring in Timlin for Cecil. Looking behind is Jeter and then Duncan. There are a couple of moves over there for Torre. He's got switch hitters Jorge Posada and Mark Whiten and left-hander Scott Pose.
One Canadian Guzman working the charts tonight.
He's going to tune it up on Friday and test that shoulder out again. They say there's nothing structurally wrong, but obviously he's had some problems with it this year.
That is 1-2. Benny hopped out.
Credit to Santiago tonight, but Clemens was so sharp with that split finger pitch tonight, he hardly ever threw it in the dirt. I mean, it was one that would start about thigh high and end up about ankle high on the hitter.
One-two pitch. Strike 3. It wasn't Clemens that got the last strikeout, but fittingly, it was a strikeout. Timlin the save. But Roger Clemens has won game number 200, and our congratulations to the Rocket Man. 4 hits, 12 strikeout performance, and you know what? Same as it ever was for Roger. It was a pleasure to watch this tonight, Dave.
I'll tell you, we came to praise him, and we didn't have to praise him much. He let his work do the talking for himself. Congratulations to Roger Clemens.
Well, the Blue Jays win it for Clemens by the count of 4-1 Sprague, the big 3-run home run. It's going to be a long, long time till touchdown brings me round again to find he's not the man they think I am at home. He's the Rocket Man. Well done. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Dave Campbell, I'm Chris Berman. Thanks for watching the first half of our Double Dip. Roger with 200. Here's Linda Cohen.